All right, we're live.
Looks like we're rolling. Well, hello and welcome everyone to this week's edition of DCL PrimeTime. It's been a bit of a stormy and rainy afternoon, at least in this part of the Metro Detroit area. But thankfully, the past weekend was not as stormy and rainy. There were some threats of clouds hanging over, but I believe all games managed to be conducted as intended. So to discuss those games and a lot more, I have, as always, joining me, Parthiv Mehta, Viju Zakaria, and Satya Vilayudam. Satya, of course, not as talkative as the rest of us, but still very much the most vital cog in this wheel. So over to you, Parthiv. Let's kick off the discussion of the previous week's games.
All right. Who's sharing? Okay. I was going to say, you want to bring up the order in which we are going?
Yeah.
Viewers can follow. All right. I think the first game of the week, even though I think it was probably the last game of the weekend, was FCC Agni versus Blasters. This is, I think, round 2 of 3. With the schedule that they have, they're going to play each other 3 times. So once, they were going to play twice in the regular schedule, and because of the rain, they're going to play 3 times now. So it's funny how this turns out to be a 3-match series instead of only 1 match. So in this match, it's as expected. I think Blasters completely rolled over FCC. FCC won the toss, put into bat, and then Deepak started really well. Imtiaz and Deepak, they started really well. Deepak picked up 4 wickets in this game, and never really at any point of time FCC Agni were in the game. 49 at a pitch. So this was the same pitch that Strikers and Krcc played. So we were playing the 9 o'clock game, and this was a 2 o'clock game. And to be honest, like I was texting my buddies as to what a difference a bowling side can make. Both teams in our end scored 150 plus, and in here it was a total score of 100 between the 2 teams. So clinical performance by Blasters, I think they are rolling on. They definitely look good going into the last phase of the regular season. And FCC Agni on the other side are dipping even below their expected path. It's very sorry to see Ramesh and the team kind of having only 1 win out of the 7 games, but there is still 3 games to go. So hoping that Ramesh can correct and at least get some salvage out of the season. Viju.
Yeah, Parthiv, a rolling stone gathers no moss. So goes the English saying. Lord Giriyappa was the oversized boulder who was rolling downhill. He was flattening and snuffing out anything and everything which was named FCC Agni. All the fire of the Agni was put out. Lord Giriyappa razzle-dazzled with figures of 4 overs, no maiden, 10 runs and 4 wickets. It's often said that great bowlers hunt in pairs. If you think about the old West Indies team, you had Andy Roberts, had a Michael Holding. Malcolm Marshall had Joel Garner. Courtney Walsh had Courtney Ambrose. And then the great Wasim Akram had the great Waqar Yunus to back him up. But as far as Blasters was concerned, it was a trio of bowlers instead of a duo. Imtiaz had figures of 3 overs, 1 maiden, 4 runs and 3 wickets. And Akshat had 2.5 overs and 1 maiden, 3 runs and 2 wickets. And now all 3 of these guys were deadly as Agni had no respite. And if you ask me, it is the trio which killed Agni. Ramesh Satyavaram will have to go back to the drawing board. I don't think he is going to be happy with the results of this season. 1 win, as you said, is just not going to cut it. He'll have to come up with something better if this is going to be a long-term prognosis for his team. They'll have to figure out what is working and what is not working. But that's about all I can say. It was great effort by Blasters. Their bowling is really, really clicking. It's only on the batting end that I have some concerns, but otherwise their bowling is absolutely top-notch. So All credit to Blasters. Hard luck, FCC Agni. Come back strong next year.
So the next game is the one which I can go hours and hours. The showcase game of the week, which lived up to its tag. It was one hell of a game. I mean, we were put into bat. So Krcc won the toss, and there was some exchange going on between us because last time around when the rain came exactly at 25 overs. So we didn't even get a chance to bat one ball. So they were kind of joking around like, why don't you guys bat? And eventually they gave us the batting. And Rahul Pawar from our end, he just blasted all the Krcc bowlers, one by one. Krcc was missing a couple of their regular players, Sahesh, and I think they were missing Vihar and Abhishek. I think they were the three regulars from the Krcc, and so were we. I think we were missing Chowji and Aditya and a couple of our other regulars. But in the end, I think if you look at the score, I think it was pretty much a mirror image. I think if you see both the scores, I think from our end it was Rahul Pawar who scored a brilliant 50 with 6 hits to the fence, and same effort was from the other side from Maulik. He was unbelievable, and the way he batted, I think I must compliment on the show. We tried everything, pretty much everything, behind the wicket, in front of the wicket, everything to get him out, and he pretty solidly kept his temperament. Played Binod out, and then eventually took Binod to the cleaners. He had 3 sixes hit of him of 1 over, which turned the game completely on its head. And eventually, towards the end, I think the equation was 12 balls, 12 runs with Maulik still there. And then Maulik lost his wicket. I think he must be really, really disappointed with the way he got out. It was in their grasp. And from there, from 12 balls, 12 runs, Maulik got out. We were all on top of the game. The bowling side needed that impetus to kind of get again. And then there was panic, as most close games do have at the end. Runouts galore, misfields, dropped catches. I think we blame our, the 2 points or 3 points we lost to our wides and, dropped catches. We had a couple of great chances to kill the game, and we dropped sitters in the middle of the innings. I think the key partnership between Jasneet and Maulik that got them really, really close to the game. But a spectacular catch. It had to be a spectacular catch from Kishore. I know it's not on video or it couldn't be captured, but it was one of the most spectacular catches. And I'm sure Jasneet would also acknowledge he basically ran from long on to long off and he picked up the catch, albeit running at full speed. And that basically, I would say, is the game-changing moment of the game. Jasneet and Maulik, we had to break that partnership. And we did that. But even though Maulik did get them close, but I felt like I was always in the game with Maulik, just 1 wicket, and that eventually happened. So a great batting fiesta, 156 each. And the game, I mean, I guess this was a fair result. Game resulted in tie, even though I think both captains would have felt they had the game somewhere in their grasp. But I'm at least content that we didn't lose the game. So it was a great game for the neutral spectator.
What was the last over required?
The last over was 5 runs required, and we bowled I think 3 wides out of that. And there were two run-outs and one. I remember it was 3 balls, 2 runs, and 1 wicket in hand, and we dropped a sitter right, short mid wicket, and we couldn't even get the run out, and they tied the game. And after that, there were 2 dot balls, and both balls came behind the keeper to me, and then the last ball, the batsman didn't touch it, went to the keeper, and we were able to run them out. But I think the 2 or 3 moments I think would change the game. There was a injury in the game as well from Yogesh, which I think was also one of the key moments. He was able to hit a boundary, which we didn't expect. We got the field in, and he hit us a boundary, and that was another one which I think could have been saved. So it was a very, very tense battle.
Arthur, who was the one who dropped the catch?
Oh,
I wouldn't want to call him out on the radio, because I've said and
Medium.
I believe at the same spot you had misfield a little earlier. So I'm surprised
yeah.
that you didn't move him out of that position. If I were
No, it
there,
was
I
not.
probably would have
No, it was not.
moved him out
Yeah,
of that position.
no, it was not the same fielder. We did move the fielders out. I think that we had had to take a gamble. We had to put fielders inside, but we also wanted to not have a shot go to the boundary and just kill the game. So we had to kind of play that balance, and that was the delicate, uh, situation which the game was in. We couldn't give a boundary, but we also didn't want to give easy singles. Also,
I see the expression on Satya's face. It's like, now you know how it feels when Viju has his hawk eye on the game and how much under scrutiny we are.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense that because you had the game in the bag if you take that catch, because it was a pretty straightforward catch. It should be taken. Yeah, go ahead.
It was exactly like the Herschel Gibbs moment. The Herschel Gibbs who dropped that catch of Steve Waugh, I think, in the '99 World Cup. Essentially had it, and I don't know whether he was trying to throw it up or whether he was trying to run, but he had it and he dropped it. It was that kind of a moment.
Yeah, pressure does a lot of things, you see. But I thought the showcase game of the week lived up to its billing. Probably the best showcase game of the week this season, and rightfully it ended up in a tie. I watched the entire game. It was nail biting, if you ask me. The fortunes continuously fluctuated like a pendulum swings, and both teams had the game at different points firmly in their grasp, only to relinquish it and give the control to the others. In fact, I was wondering if this game was a showcase game of the week or whether this was a Japanese punka, because the game was continuously swinging like a pendulum on the Big Ben. One time it is here, one time it is there. And I don't know if you guys know the Big Ben, that the pendulum is adjusted by adding pennies. And these pennies were manufactured before 1971. Each penny causes that Big Ben to advance by 0.4 second of a day. So they adjust those pennies. If you ask me, for the strikers, there were 5 pennies which control the game. And the number one penny was obviously Rahul Pawar. If you ask me if I had to coin a term, it would be power for Pawar. All right, power for Pawar, because this guy was in a zone. And I think this was a great piece of captaincy, because in the previous game, it was he was going, 7 down or something like that. And then all of a sudden to see him in the opening stand, he was just in a belligerent mood. He was attacking anything and everything. 50 runs in 34 balls pretty much tells you the whole story with 6 sixes. And I thought Pankaj gave him a pretty good stand. It was just the guy who kind of provided a calm assurance out there. But Pawar was in a gun-blazing mode. And then Kapil 14 and 10, Vivek 13 and 6, and Parthiv 11 and 8. If you had told me 156, I thought strikers bowling can defend 156. But then, just like strikers had these 5 pennies, KRCC also had their pennies. And one of the pennies which worked in strikers' favor was these runouts. I am convinced these guys in KRCC do not know how to run, because these guys take runs which are non-existent. I have no idea what those guys were thinking, especially when Yogesh got a runner, which again, I think Parthiv was very generous to give a runner. There are many teams which would not have given a runner. So as often as people like to blame Parthiv for a lot of things and, like to complain against him, I don't know, put an official complaint against him and get him to do extra umpiring and things like that. I honestly feel that you don't say these kind of things which are done wherein, hey, he gave a runner when he didn't have to give a runner. And sure enough, that guy got himself run out. Was that the second time he got himself run out, Parthiv?
Yes, so that was a funny story which I was talking about in WhatsApp. So they asked for a runner, and as a way of giving it back a little bit, they said, you choose the runner. And I basically said, who was that guy who got run out the first time? And I chose him, and albeit he again got run out. So
Parthiv, I have no idea what he was even seeing. Obviously, he and I were not seeing the same game. Neither were his teammates, because they were all scolding him, saying that, what in the world were you thinking when you were running? Because I have no clue what he was thinking, because the guy is pretty clueless. All right, because let's call it for what it is. Absolutely clueless, because there is no way, if he had just stayed there, they probably could have won the game. But again, a great piece of captaincy, because in the sense that if you pick the runner and you pick that guy because he was a bad runner, and again, I think people who don't know the DCL rule book should know this, that the opposition captain gets to pick who is the bye runner in case he decides to give a bye runner. He doesn't have to give a bye runner, but if he does decide to give a bye runner, he gets to choose which of those guys should run, because otherwise people will take the fastest runner and plug it in there. And we have seen enough and more people taking advantage of that rule, you see. Fake an injury and then have your best runner come out and replace you. That's not the way to win it. But I thought the pennies for KRCC were Omkar, fabulous batting there. Jasneet and Ishan, they were the KRCC pennies who made it interesting. They swung the pendulum for the Big Ben in KRCC's favor. But this was a game of pehle aap. Mere baap pehle aap. I mean, I'm just going to go. I'm ready to seal the game, and then it's no, pehle aap, yaar. You continue on. And so this game was continuously that. But I thought the difference was, and we warned Parthiv Mehta this last week, or probably the week before, that the strikers were giving way too many extras. And in this game, if you look at it, strikers gave 19 extras compared to 9 extras for KRCC. And that pretty much was the tie there. Again, I have never seen Vinod getting hit like that, but I have to say, Maulik Patel, that was a scintillating innings. That was probably the best I've seen Maulik Patel play in a long, long time. I've seen him bat in probably Novi Cup, where he was, you see him bat and you say, how in the world can anybody not pick this guy in any lineup, whether it's even a DCL All-Star lineup. Some of the shots he hits are simply out of the world. And in this game, he waited there, played the waiting game. And when there was a ball which he can hit, and there are many balls which he can hit, and he really swung it, and it was good, clean hitting. Even the ball which he got bowled on, Parthiv, I have no problem. If he played for Glads, I would say, you know what? That's fine. I'll take it. Even if you got bowled, that's fine. I'll take it, because that was the correct shot. That ball was there to be hit. He went to hit it. It just so happened that that ball kept a tad bit low. And so he swung over the ball and he missed the ball, and it got him clean bowled. But the moment he got out, the KRCC batsmen were like a chicken with its head cut off. You know, they had no clue what they were doing. The running between the wickets was horrendous, and they have only themselves to blame for this fact that they ended up in a tie. But both teams had their chances, and I think if that catch was taken, KRCC probably would have been ready to commit harakiri, because the game was so much in control, and then they gave it up. But you guys also, if you had taken the catch, you know, you'd have had that 4 points, but very valuable 4 points. But right now, yeah, it's a tie, but it was a great game.
Yep. Absolutely.
I think the real cherry on the cake would have been had KRCC been unbeaten thus far, and this was the game that determined whether Viju would grow a mustache or not. Boy, that would have been something.
that would have been in the disclaimer. Like
that's the only thing that was missing from this game. I think otherwise it had pretty much everything.
All right.
Moving on, I guess.
Moving on.
Indus Thunders completely demolished UCA. Looks like.
Yeah, I think this was another completely one-sided game. But for the neutral spectator, it was a batting fiesta from Praveen Bangera. 126 out of 72 with 10 sixes and 3 fours. This is probably one of the, if not the top, probably, I think Viju said it was the third highest scorer in DCL recorded. So, I mean, you can just look at the scorecard and you can just feel sorry for UCA with the kind of batting with Praveen Bangera unleashed upon them. 227, is a score which is probably unattainable with the kind of bowling which Indus has. And I'm not sure. I was looking at the scorecard for UCA. I think they were missing quite a few players, which they were playing in the last couple of seasons. And Indus have regularly, as they have always done, are kind of again bringing back their stalwarts. I see Jalaj, Manoj, Dinesh all playing this week. So they are getting back into the groove of, getting their A team back into the fold and, kind of deciding, what their batting order is. So I see this next couple of games. I think they have a big one coming up in Raptors. That is going to be a real test for them. So this is a great batting practice for Indus Thunders going into the next week with Raptors. So that will be the test. And it's great to see some of these guys back in the runs, especially Praveen. I think he's had a kind of a slow and low season. So it's great to see him back with big runs.
Avi and Parthiv, this game was a fabulous outing for Praveen Bangera. I think it's only fitting that when Bangera was around 65, my friend Arjun Ajbani was in Houston going and playing, what's that? What are they playing now? Minor league cricket. Yeah, minor league cricket. So he had gone to Houston. I remember sending him a text saying that I see a century coming from Bangera. And sure enough, Bangera hit a century. And I felt if Bangera hits a century, I felt the DCL record might be, could be broken. I mean, he's the kind of player who can easily destroy that DCL record. And having opened the innings, it is astounding that he got run out. Otherwise, he probably breaks the DCL record. I think it's only fitting that I cover the centurions who have scored centuries in DCL, because for the longest time, for more than 25, 26 years, not one person had hit a century until Arjun Ajbani hit the first century in DCL. Since then, there are 6 different players who have hit centuries, and I will just cover those centuries as I remember it off the top of my head. Maybe I missed one person. I doubt it. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty good with records. So Sri Teja from Raptors is the highest scorer in DCL with 137, but he got out at 137. Arjun Ajbani is the second highest with 128 not out. And Praveen Bangera is the third highest with 126. Deepak Giriappa, his buddy, is 124, and Deepak scored it for knockers. Now, Bangera played for knockers for such a long time, and it is surprising that, the very first year he plays for Indus Thunders, he scores a century. Vijay Matta was the highest scorer in DCL for a long time. It was 122. And then Arjun Ajbani scored 109 not out against Pokris. And then Arjun Ajbani also scored 104 against Icons, which is nothing but rising stars. And then Arjun Chittamani, who now plays for Kings 11, I think. Kings 11, yeah. But he used to play for Marcos before. He scored 102. So those are the 6 centurions. One guy has obviously hit 3 centuries, but the other 5 guys joined with him to become the 6 centurions. All you can say is it is incredibly excellent. This is too good. So in a league where very rarely you see a century, you have to tip your cap to them and say, you know what, too good, fabulous outing, all congrats, and you deserve all the accolades which come to you. I just hope that DCL will give Bangera a special award on DCL night. I know that the committee sometimes is penny wise and pound foolish, but you know what, guys, centuries do not come too often. And same thing with people taking 7 wickets in an innings and things like that. Those are outstanding efforts. So I hope that they would not be penny wise and pound foolish, and they would just acknowledge these guys with a special award on DCL night. As far as UCA is concerned, I really have nothing much to say. This season has not really panned out. This was a combination of Marcos players and few other players. I think in the off season, they probably go back, and who knows if Marcos is coming back next year, in which case you might see this team disintegrating also. But they have, for the moment, they have punched and booked their ticket to watch the playoffs from the spectator stands this year. So Avi, I think UCA is done. They'll just be finishing out the rest of the year and going through the motions. But it's a learning experience for them. They'll have to go back and see how to do some planning. I think it's essential. All the good teams do some planning. They probably have to figure out, what works, what doesn't work, and how to add personnel and make it count in the special games. But I think they underperform their talent. I honestly think their talent is more than what they have performed. Because in this game, it was Bangera versus UCA, and Bangera dominated UCA. Banguera single-handedly beat UCA. I mean, they didn't even score as much as almost half of what Banguera scored. You see, maybe about 60% of what, or 55% of what Banguera scored. So you got to look at it and say that if you're a competitor, hey, that is unacceptable. We got to do better than that. But that's pretty much it. Congrats to Praveen Banguera and congrats to Indus Thunders for a fabulous outing. And maybe when Gopu comes, we should ask him a line on what he thought of that century.
Yep. Agreed. I think I concur with you, Viju. Yes, UCA definitely seemed like a pretty promising outfit when they first showed up on the scene this year. But I believe they would have found out that they have been outclassed thus far, and they'll have gauged the level of the league a lot better now, and hopefully they can take the steps that you just mentioned to address that. Next up, looks like Micah Dhm pulled one over the Canton 11s, just about barely, but that looks like for a pretty exciting game.
Yeah, I think this came out of left field. I mean, nobody expected Micah Dhm to beat Canton level, and I mean,
we all got hosed on this one, didn't we?
Yes, I'm pretty sure everyone had picked Canton 11. But if you look at the lineup, which is quite surprising, Micah Dhm, they basically, I mean, I don't know whether it was the availability of the player or someone turned up late. Naveen Kumar, he normally opens for them, and he was at the end, I think it was 9 or 10 in the batting score. And until the 8th or the 9th wicket, Micah was nowhere in the game. But the last wicket, or the last but one wicket, they basically got them into the game. Like Arjun Misra, you see at the fag end, the 25 runs out of the 98 coming at 9 or 10 is just unbelievable. Like I'm pretty sure Javed must have thought the game was in the bag before that, and it just didn't happen. Arjun and Naveen formed and stitched a partnership, and Canton 11, just like strikers, they were generous, giving 24 extras out of the 98. I mean, just threw the game over, and this makes Pool C for the 5th spot really, really interesting, because I think Canton 11 were favorites to get that spot, but now there definitely makes that 5th spot very, very interesting. I think the top 4 are pretty much through. The 5th spot, I think, is between Micah and Rangers and MCC Miles. I think all these three teams are pretty much lockstep. One or 2 points in between them. So with this win here for Micah puts them in that mix, but definitely throws Canton 11 into a soup.
Yeah, Micah, I think, kind of played spoil sport there, right, for at least Canton 11. And just looking at this part, it doesn't even look like there was any complacency on the part of the Canton 11. It just seemed not like it didn't seem like they were all going hell for leather or canvas in this game, and lost it. So I don't know what was going on. Looked like a very conservative effort. Yes, Viju, please go ahead.
Can you put up that Micah scorecard? Okay, scroll down. Okay, hold on there. What is PEN 12? What is PEN?
Where?
This the wides are 10, no balls are 2, and then it says PEN 12.
Penalty.
What penalty?
Wow. Okay.
That is interesting. 10
it
no
says
balls.
10. No, wides are 10. Leg buys are zeros. Buys are zeros. Wides are 10. No balls are 2, and PEN is 12. What is 12? PEN?
Yeah, 12.
The penalty runs. What penalty runs are we talking about?
Yeah, that's interesting. Good catch.
All right. So that was something which was this thing. And scroll down, Parthiv. Satya, hold on. Can you look at the fall of wicket? Oh, there's no fall of wickets. But I do not know if Naveen TJ came last, because there is a habit of this. This Canton 11. This Cricket Clubs has this habit where then the last 2 batsmen are suddenly taken and promoted to 1 down and 2 down. When that scorecard gets this thing. Oftentimes I've seen that the guys who are coming at 10 and 11 suddenly shows up at number 1 and number 2. So maybe that happened here. I do not know if that is the case.
No, I think what must have happened is, I know this Saturday, Sunday, there were a lot of glitches in cricket clubs. So a lot of teams were doing manual scoring. And then probably when they've entered the scorecard, they've basically not cared about, what order in which they are entering in. So that might be the case, because I saw that happen even on Krcc scorecard, where I think Satish Gaba was probably at 9 or 10, but in fact he was like 3 or 4 when he came to bat. So I
Right.
think that might have been the case.
And when I tried looking at the over by over on that particular game, it did say that that's not available because this game was not scored live on the Cricket
Right.
Club's app. So it
Right.
looks like it was manually entered.
The other thing is, Parthiv and Avi, have you noticed one thing? Ever since that great euphoria and being on cloud 99 when Canton 11 on the last ball beat Sterling Strikers, there seems to have been a big drop off. You get my point? It's like almost like Canton 11 is like, okay, our season is done. It's like we have achieved what we wanted to achieve. And, everything else doesn't matter, because the next 2 games, which were winnable games, where we as analysts, all of us were on the Canton 11 Chuk Chuk Gadi, were mercilessly thrown out of the Chuk Chuk Gadi. Get my point? We were like just tossed like ragtag dolls. And I don't know. They lost games which they had no business losing. Even Micah Dhm, well, credit Micah that they actually came out and gave a good performance here. And the scorecard says that they won the toss and asked Canton 11 to bowl, which is even more impressive because they clearly knew what they were doing. So congrats to Micah. Hard luck, Canton 11. Pretty much last game when they lost, they were knocked out of the playoffs. And this is just now it's a question of where exactly at the bottom are they going to end up. But I think that 5th spot is going to be between Rangers and MCC Miles. Probably MCC Miles has the inside track. Well, if Ram Saladi, my friend, is listening, then he needs to do some serious planning. He and Ajay Bhatt and every one of those think tank guys need to figure out, because this is their spot to lose. And Rangers have once again lost a game to Pokris, but okay, that's an expected loss. But they need to figure something out, because otherwise that 5th spot is going out of hand.
The expectation could have been overturned, but we'll come to that when we come to that game. Blasters expectedly winning over the Detroit Bulls, but if you look at them, 94 all out against the Bulls bowling attack, you think that was a bit under par? Yes, we know Viju has time and again mentioned that the Blasters batting seems to have some chinks in the armor, with someone fortuitously somehow performing every game. So we think that's the case here, Partha?
I think it was these Saturday games. I think Saturday we had a little bit of drizzle overnight. The grounds, even when we started in the Ann Arbor ground, they were a little soggy. They were on the slower side. So if you look at the average scores across all the Saturday games, they were pretty much in that 80, 90, 100 kind of zone. So I wouldn't read too much into the Blasters 94. I think it was a par score considering, the ground conditions and the batting conditions.
And okay, yep.
And to be honest, I think as we have said many times, Blasters batting is a little bit on the still on the recovery side. They're still trying to improve. They rely on a couple of players to be there. Ravi Teja Reddy. They rely on Zishan to perform. Some of these players, and right now it's the lower middle order which is carrying the burden. Shan and Imtiaz and Sid and all those guys are carrying the burden. But it's their bowling, which is, they can basically defend pretty much everything like 70 onwards. They a score of 70 against them or 70 or 80 against them is a good score, because if you've scored against Blasters 70 or 80, that's almost like 100, 110. So I would, Detroit Bulls, I think their ship is sinking fast. They've lost a few games on the trot right now. They were looking promising, and they've always been a good team throughout the season, but they haven't been able to click. The batting hasn't clicked. Apart from Gino, I think he scored 60 odd in one of those rare games. Their batting hasn't clicked. They haven't been able to put the runs on the board. The bowling has been impressive, I would say, compared to the batting, but they haven't been able to score runs. And I think primarily, I think it's the top and middle order which hasn't contributed. And Tanuj definitely needs to look deeply into how deep, if they want to go deep into the season, he needs to get the confidence back. I think Pool B is still I mean, they still have mathematically chance to get into the playoffs, but they'll want to win every game from here and hope some of the teams which are above them lose.
You are at mute, Biju.
Parthiv, are you smoking cannabis or eating, I don't know, ganja or something like that? There is no chance for the Bulls. They have played 8 games, Parthiv. There is no chance for the Bulls. The
Yeah,
Bulls
the
are
Bulls were done. You're right.
the Bulls are done. All right, the Bulls are done. They had a fabulous outing at the beginning of the season at by beating Brownstown, but the Bulls scored 29 runs off the bat, Parthiv, out of which 11 runs came from Nikhil Sahni. That means the other remaining 10, the remaining 10 gentlemen scored 18 runs. I don't know how many games you're going to win with that. Avi, I don't know. I mean, I must not be knowing cricket because there's no way you're going to win too many games like that, Parthiv. I mean, I like the Bulls. I like Geno James. I think he's a very stylish player, technically very sound batsman. I like a number of their players for their character, but their spirit, their character, their everything I like about that. But it is tough to like anything about what the Bulls are putting on the field right now. All right. They're just, they're just, I don't know. An archaeologist is the best husband a woman can have. Avi and Parthiv, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you know why? Do you know why an archaeologist is the best husband a woman can have?
I don't think I want to venture the thought that is in my head on a family program.
Because he's always discovering. He's always discovering something.
Well, because the older she gets, the more interested he is in her. Okay? The older she gets, the more interested she is in her. Okay? Now, I need to become an archaeologist, Parthiv. I need to become an archaeologist to start getting interested in this lackluster display of the Bulls. Because there is no way a sane person can like what they are seeing right here. And it's time to call the Bulls what they are doing as, hey, this is not good. If you're scoring 18 runs between 10 of you guys, I think it's time to look at. Look at Jagan Veluswamy. He had 5 overs, 2 maidens, 8 runs, and 2 wickets. He's a former striker, Parthiv. He is now playing on this Blasters unit. Holy moly. The Bulls are making Jagan Veluswamy look as the second coming of Courtney Ambrose. I thought Courtney Ambrose was one of the greatest bowlers Test cricket has ever seen. And they are making Jagan Veluswamy look like Courtney Ambrose, the second coming of Courtney Ambrose. The evergreen Imtiaz Mohammad Abdul, he had 3.3 overs, 0 maiden, 4 runs and 3 wickets. These guys are competing with each other to see if they can take more wickets than the number of runs conceded. That reminds me, does Imtiaz Mohammad Abdul ever get old? His figures, both on the scorecard and the figures of his physical figure, I never see it changing year after year after year. He must be drinking of that the cool fountain and the mantra of perpetual youth, because I never see him get older. He seems to always bowl the same this thing. Believe it or not, Parthiv, he's one of the guys. In fact, when I heard that Blazers were not forming, I asked Satya to see if we can get Imtiaz, and then I myself picked up the phone and called Imtiaz to see if we could get him. But by that time, Hari Parankasam had already got him. But I have had that high respect. It's very rarely that I would actually pick up the phone and call somebody, but I have very high respect for what he bowls. I mean, everything is standard bowling. He's very disciplined bowling. He makes you make all the mistakes. All right. I mean, he may not be Deepak Giriyappa, but on a Glad's bowling unit where we are not the greatest bowling unit, I felt he will shine like anything, because all I need is people who can keep it straight on the stump. But this guy doesn't seem to get old at all, and his figures are fabulous. I don't know. The Bulls made these guys look all fabulous, but as it is, I think Imti is fabulous. He's a fabulous umpire and fabulous person, and he's also a fabulous bowler. So it was a great effort by Blasters. I think Blasters have a good person in Imtiaz, but Jagan Veluswamy's figures, I mean, don't get me wrong, all right? Jagan Veluswamy is fine, all right, but not that good, okay? They are that good is unbelievable. I I will never accept that Jagan Belusamy is as good as these figures which is posted on this scorecard. But he is good, but not that good. But congrats to Jagan.
I think it kind of goes to show how much one player can impact a team, right? I think Detroit Bulls have just not been the same since Canton actually left them, and goes to show how much of their performance was riding on his shoulders. For some reason, I don't know why, that they've not. It's not like the others are any slouches, but for some reason they're not able to perform. I don't know why.
So, Avi, so the Bulls need to blame Ravi Narala. Because Ravi Narala took Neelakantan away from Bulls. So if the Bulls have any complaint against anybody, it's against Ravi Narala.
I'm not quite sure who made the outreach. Of course, I wasn't privy to it, but yeah, no. To your point, yeah. But Dynamites versus Safaris, this one I have special cause for rejoicing, because I think I pulled a fast one on all of you. So as an analyst,
no, I think it was me too.
Yeah, you too, right, Partha? Yes.
Yes, we pulled it and extended the lead by one more. Did you this?
No. Hold on. This extending the lead by one more. Yes, but Avi gave up the lead somewhere else. All right. He and I are still tied. All right. So it's not only Parthiv has extended the lead from 5 to 6. But Avi hasn't pulled ahead yet. Yes, he got this one right, but he promptly dropped it on another one. All right.
Right.
Yeah, this was. This was a game which I think we, this was the only game I think we all had a split, and even with our guests, I think we were split in that. So it was 3-3, if I'm not mistaken.
No. It was 4-2. 4-2. Those two guys smartly picked the Dynamites. But
okay.
I picked Safaris to challenge Dynamites. Vijay Shanmugam. I wanted him to win. He won. So I'm not too cut up over this. I like Vijay Shanmugam, and I was happy that he won.
Just wickets, which else they would have won it.
What is that?
22 overs, 96 they made. If they had wickets, they win it easily.
Yeah, I think that is the story. I mean, what Satya just said. Satya, Safaris were always in the game. Chasing 114, they were going pretty good, but I think they were losing wickets also at regular intervals. This was another game where I think there was a glitch in the scoring, and for a long time we couldn't see the scores after Dynamites had their first inning. So I think Safaris must have entered this manually in. But looking at the Dynamite side, again, the batting is coming along really well. Time after time, game after game, we've seen the Dynamites batting improving. Contributions which are coming consistently from Satish, again, who's the backbone. Again, we talked about Anil, another disappointment from him. We know all how capable he is, but he hasn't really somehow been able to prove himself with the talent he has. But I think the turning point was the contribution from Saurabh at the bottom. I think that momentum, the 28 runs of 22 balls towards the end of the innings, provided that, made that score look bigger than it should have been towards the end of the innings. I think the difference between 95, 100 to 115 was basically because of that, 8th or 7th wicket partnership, which brought them to that stage. And then Safaris, they were, even though their top order, middle order didn't really look like they were, chasing in a manner that it should. They had strike rates of pretty much 30s and 40s if you look at it. And when you're chasing, 115, you at least need to be 60 or 70 per over. But down the order, Uday, Ravi, Mahesh, all of them made that last-ditch effort to kind of get them through. They came close, but again, I think they ran out of partners. So even though Safaris, look promising, but I think this game, they somehow, it's because of the lack of experience or lack of, winning that, they weren't able to cross the line.
Parthiv, they say diligence is the mother of good fortune. Well, the Dynamites, let me assure you, were diligent as a team. Vijay Shanmugam, after last week's show, promptly called me up before, and he was picking my brain to see what he needed to do. He also told me that Anil Bilmoria had accepted the challenge, and Anil Bilmoria wanted to prove a point. Too bad that he got out LBW, but he understood the point that on the show we had called him out, and he was determined to let his talent come to the front. It just didn't work out in this game, but I think very soon we're probably going to see some beginnings from him. But Vijay Shanmugam was a man looking for answers. He wanted to punch that playoff ticket. We had made it very crystal clear for Vijay Shanmugam that, he needs to win this game. Well, you know that you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. And by the same token, you can't make the playoffs without the whole team pulling in one direction and without the team making sacrifices. So the Dynamites, as far as they were concerned, the key was very simple. I told them, control that golden Mritini guy. That's the Jordan rules. When Michael Jordan was there was something called the Pistons were the toughest opponents that the Chicago Bulls had. For a long time, Michael Jordan couldn't get past the Detroit Pistons. And the Detroit Pistons and Chuck Daly, who was the coach at that time, had developed something called the Jordan rules. The idea is that you let anybody beat you except Michael Jordan. The moment Jordan gets the ball, he'll get double team, triple team, and they fouled him, and they fouled him hard. And so it took a long time for Jordan to be able to get past that. But that was the same thing here. Control golden Mritini. Make sure Mritini doesn't beat you. And Swarna Rahul Mritini, if you look at it, the moment you got him for 6 runs, you have the game half in the bag right there, because we have seen that shot which the Safaris have shared. I unfortunately do not know how to share it, but it's a fabulous batsman. As Avinash said in that in our WhatsApp group, that he's almost like an arrogant shot. It's like, I don't care what you bowl, I'm just gonna punch it to the boundary, kind of a thing. And so once he was gone for cheap, I think Dynamites had the upper hand right then and there. By my calculation, Parthiv, I think Dynamites have already made the playoffs. I believe that the Dynamites win against Safaris is really the death knell for FCC and a number of other teams which were hoping to catch the Dynamites for that 5th spot. I told you last week that the Dynamites were the octopus on roller skates. No more octopus on roller skates, baby. No more octopus on roller skates. No more 1 step forward and 2 steps backward. This time they took a decisive step forward. And remember when Neil Armstrong went to the moon, you remember what he said? That's one of the greatest one-liners ever in the history of mankind. You remember what it's?
That's one small step for man, a giant leap for mankind.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right, Avi. You know your one-liners very well. One small step for man and one giant leap for mankind. As far as Dynamites is concerned, Avi, it was one giant leap towards the DCL playoffs in 2021. That's what happened here. So if you are a Dynamite supporter, or if you are friends with Vijay Shanmugam, like I am a good friend of Vijay Shanmugam, I'm happy for the Dynamites. I'm happy for Vijay Shanmugam. I am very happy to lose this, because my idea was I needed to challenge Vijay Shanmugam to come and give his best. He did. I'm happy to lose that point. But it's one more win from here. I think the Dynamites' role now is, can we get one more win so that in the first round, we don't have to play one of the big guns of DCL. That's what Dynamites needs to now focus on, because oftentimes if they get to the playoffs, very first round, they get knocked out. And often it is because they run into one of the top teams in DCL, because you have just made the playoffs and you're meeting the number 1 team or the number 2 team. If they can win one more game, I think they can save themselves from facing 1, 2, or 3. And I think when you get to 4, 5, and 6, the competition is a lot more balanced. So congrats to Vijay Shanmugam, congrats to Dynamites. I tip my cap to them.
I certainly concur there. I'm very happy personally for Vijay, who's a good friend of mine as well, and also for the Dynamites team. I think far too long they've flirted with the possibility of going into the playoffs and falling just about short. So I'm really happy that as a team that they've made it. And I think it's also an example of, I'm going to indulge in some self-praise here for all of us, where I think it's an example of the impact our show has had through the league overall, and also on Vijay and Dynamites in particular. I know for the fact that we predicted against them on the first episode when I think they had one of the showcase games of the week. And I know Vijay took it upon himself and his team as a challenge. And I can see it in the Facebook posts that he posts after every victory or every game for that matter, celebrating his team, which is what a captain should be doing. So they definitely look like a much more cohesive unit this year. And like you said, we tip our hats to them and kudos and all the very best to them in the playoffs. Oh dear God, yeah, this one, GLCC versus Sterling Strikers.
Yeah, this was.
I think we
I'm
all
sure
got
that-
tripped up on this one too, right?
Yeah, I mean, this was out of the ordinary. I mean, I definitely didn't expect this at all from GLCC, and especially against Sterling Strikers. I know Sterling Strikers have been really, really improving, and I think the tag of the most improved team should probably rest with Sterling Strikers now. From Troy Hawks, I definitely think, considering that they are in Pool C and now in serious contention for the third and fourth spot with Pokris, they definitely have improved from the earlier season. And the way they this victory, the way they've kind of defeated GLCC is definitely danger and warning bells in the league. And I mean, it wasn't like I was looking through the scorecards. I was trying to, reach out to my friend Samish, trying to figure out like what really happened. And I don't think there is anything wrong which GLCC did, apart from, obviously not being able to play that 25 overs and scoring 86. And again, as I said, this weekend on Saturdays, all games were pretty much in that 80, 90, 100 zone. So it wasn't like it was below par score. But the reply from Sterling Strikers was just unbelievable. I mean, they, Ijaz, Mohammad Amir, and Fayed Hussain took the GLCC bowling apart. I mean, Hemant Kumar, he's a great bowler. I mean, he is difficult to get runs out of because of
Agreed.
his tall stature and the bounce he extracts. But they just took him to the cleaners, and I think they were also aided by a lot the lack of probably the GLCC bowlers not being able to maintain that line and length. There were a few extras given in the 19 overs, but even after that, I mean, look at it, the bowling unit of GLCC doesn't look like they have everything in this game. Like, I see a lot of these bowlers who probably should, like, they're missing Akash, they're missing Ashraf, who generally bowls as well. So I think probably there was some complacency. Maybe GLCC took it lightly, and then it kind of backfired on them. I failed to kind of figure out, like, as to how things went so south for them in this game.
So Ashraf was there. He was there in the batting line.
Yeah, he's there in the batting line. I mean, he didn't bowl, and then they were also, looking at Samish came towards the end. Ajit, who generally is on the top of this.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Ajit is usually 2 down. I'm surprised he went in.
Yeah, so I mean, just reading through the scorecard, it looked like a confusing story. I don't know whether it was the manual scoring, which because of what this scoring card appears this way, or whether it's genuinely that they were trying some stuff out. Devi Datta and Tanmay Pandit and those guys towards the top, if they were trying to experiment on a few things. But I think it was a difficult story to kind of figure out really and pinpoint to why such a thing could have happened.
I can tell you one thing though. I don't think the weather played any impact, because yes, it was overcast. Yes, there was real threat of rain, but this happened at Drake Sports Park, and the Pokris were playing the game right next door. So it was actually quite nice conditions to play. So I don't think there was any. It just seems like GLCC is batting just in click, and obviously when you have 87 on the board, and it so happened that Sterling Strikers' power hitters just got going. So, and there was only so much the GLCC bowling attack could do, despite the class that it boasts of. So, yeah, like you said, I don't think much wrong there. I can sum it up in one way. Of course, Viju can have his say, but we were fielding when Sterling strikers were going about chasing this target, and our game was kind of meandering. We'll come to that. So a bunch of us were just looking, and suddenly I hear one of our players who was on the square leg boundary, so facing the ground where this game was going on, saying, after about this, the third or fourth six had been launched, I believe that was by Ezaz. He's like, who on earth is this guy? And what team is that? And then Vignesh from the long on boundary looks, kind of peers towards them, and he's like, oh, wait, oh, that's Sterling strikers. Oh, dear God, we are facing them next. So that was the impact that those 4-6s had. I think I'm not sure my teammates will appreciate me sharing that, but that was how astounded we were at how GLCC was taken to the cleaners the other day. I think it was something completely unexpected.
Avi and Parthiv, if you think about an iceberg, the dignity of an iceberg or the movement of an iceberg is the fact that only 1/9 of the iceberg is visible above the water. And the Sterling strikers, if you ask me, is the iceberg which is floating in the Atlantic. And none of us, we only saw that 1/9 portion of it, and we assumed that that's all there is to it. Only to realize that 8/9 of the iceberg is still underneath, submerged under the water. And when they won the first 5 out of 6 games, we said, well, they had an easy schedule, that they were taking advantage of that easy schedule, and they were getting the full 5 points. None of us felt that, this team is going to be the one which is going to be probably topping Pool A. We are now in a situation where we felt that there was a murderer's row coming up, and we said that the Sterling strikers had to get past the murderer's row of GLCC, Pokris, and then Glcc. And we felt that, that's when they are going to be coming down to the earth from the stratosphere. No one, absolutely no one in their right mind saw this coming. If you ask me, GLCC got shellacked. If you thought that GLCC got thrashed by, Glcc the previous game, this is a bigger thrashing. That was respectable. This is not respectable. This was totally one-sided.
Agreed.
If you ask me, the murderer's row saw the murderer being assassinated. And the murderer was supposed to be GLCC, and they were the ones who were supposed to finish off Sterling strikers. Instead, we see that these guys, mainly Syed Ishraq, was the assassin in chief. And then you had Fahad, Muhammad Amr, and Aizaz. I mean, they just absolutely smoked GLCC. There is no other way to put it other than I am thankful that I got to see this coming. And if you're Satya Velayutham, you need to think 10 times before you field a team against Sterling strikers as to what team you're going to field on that day. And you have to hope that, some of your better players are available, because it's not going to be an easy game. So I think Satya got a wake-up call by seeing the score, and he needs to think twice about what team he's going to field. And I think I agree with you. Pokris have their hands full next week when they play Sterling strikers. It's not going to be an easy game.
Yep. Next up, I guess, was Kings 11 versus FCC Agni, and this is the one where, as an analyst, I got burnt. Pun unintended. Yeah, Parthiv, I guess you have more on this.
Yeah, I'm just going back to that. Yeah, I think on this one, I think was another story where I think Kings 11 are going from strength to strength. They are, I think, almost, if not confirmed, they pretty much look on their road to playoffs. I think with Brownstown lagging behind, I think this has given them an opportunity to kind of seal the spot. FCC Agni, we talked about it in the previous game. They have been on a decline this year. They were last couple of years, they were really good. I think they went to the playoffs and even went beyond the first round of the playoffs in one of the years. So they've been on the ascendancy in the last few years, but this year is kind of an offbeat for them. Kings 11, I think the batting has been coming through really well. They've been scoring well. In this case, also, I think Sunil and then Sai Gautam towards the end, and Purna, I think all contributed them to getting to that 107. They were missing out on their, you know, the star Nikhil Kumar. I think he's been the roast. Couple of games he hasn't been able to perform. Probably, giving him a rest might give him a little bit of time to think and get sorted out. But I think on the bowling side also, there was a lot of they used 5 bowlers. They were able to get all the 5 bowlers were spot on. Everybody was amongst the wickets. Very economical. When you have with this ball going at 2.5, 3 runs per over is really fabulous, because I don't think earlier this was the norm, like 2.5, 3 runs per over when it was a different ball. But now I think 4.5, 5 is probably good, is a norm. But bowling 3 and 2.5 runs per over is exceptional. So Kings 11 bowling was spot on. Even though there were contributions for Vibhor and Arjun on the FCC Agni side, I think they constantly lost wickets. They lost wickets at the start. There was a partnership in the middle, but and again towards the end there was a complete collapse all through. Where they didn't even come close to earning that bonus point. So I think Kings 11 definitely look good. I'll probably want to check their points table once more to see where they are, but it feels like they are on their way to the playoffs from Pool B.
Parthiv, if you ask me, that last spot is going to be decided between Hitman, Kings 11, and Strikers. Those 3 teams are going to fight for 2 out of that last 5 spots, because Legends, Blasters, and Krcc, as far as I'm concerned, you can pencil them into the playoffs. That leaves 2 spots, and I think Hitman, Kings 11, and Strikers are going to fight for it, because all the others have pretty much worked themselves out. Brownstown, unless they make some major sway and win the remaining 3 games, which I'm not so certain about. But coming back to this game now, I do not know what's wrong with Arjun Chittamani. He has not been performing this year, but this is a Centurion, so we know that he obviously has the class and the talent to get the job done, but he has not been performing. But on the other hand, I have to say that Sunil Adonda has been a consistent performer. If you go and look at the stats, you'll find that in DCL 2021, he's averaging 22 runs per game. And that's a pretty healthy average, if you ask me. And then in 2019, he scored 104 runs, which was slightly lesser. But in 2018, he scored 227 runs. And in 2016, he scored 204 runs. So I can see he's on track for another 200 plus run season. All you can say is too good. I mean, you got to give a shout out for somebody like that who is consistently performing in year after year. And so he's not a flash in the pan. He's consistently performing. On the other hand, Parthiv, the man you have been promoting like anything, Nikhil Kumar, I have not seen any performance other than the first game. I mean, if there has been another great performance, then you need to let me know what that performance is, because you guys made him into a superstar. But let me tell you, it is looking more and more like a flash in the pan, because I have not seen any great performances coming from Nikhil Kumar other than in that very first game against Strikers. So I think he has disappeared. He didn't play this game, but I think if you're Nikhil Kumar, you need to show up and good players perform consistently, not just a flash in the pan score. So at this point, I'm not even willing to talk about Nikhil Kumar until he shows me something more than that one performance against Strikers. But I think Sai Gautam took up his role in this game. He performed very well. He filled in for Nikhil Kumar very well. By my reckoning, as I told you, these 3 teams, Kings 11, Strikers, and Hitman, are going to be fighting for those 2 spots out of the 3, and only 3 teams are going to be fighting it. And that is why last week I pretty much made it very clear that even though Hitman had won so many games, I am still not willing to lock them into the playoffs, because I still think both Strikers and Kings 11 have the advantage over Hitman to go lock those 2 spots. If you look at the remaining games which Hitman have, and I think Hitman will have the hardest time getting in because Hitman have to play Strikers and Hitman have to play Kings 11, and those 2 games will decide their fate. It's as simple as that. There are some games, and then there are some games which are super important. So if you're strikers and if you're Kings 11, those are that game against Hitman is going to be your most important game where you have to go in with your best 11. But those are the two King games. Again, if you look at Kings 11, probably one of the most disciplined bowling attacks, because they gave only 3 wides, and both sides are very disciplined. Agni gave only 6 wides. Compared to this, you have strikers giving consistently 20 wides, and then you have Brownstown, who is also a wide manufacturing factory. And so there are many other teams who are not on top of their game, but these two teams seem to be having very disciplined bowling attacks. So we have to give them credit. But again, congrats to Kings 11.
All right. I think the next game was Raptors SSK. This was played next to where we were playing, so we could see. I mean, we were almost at par when we were playing Spartans. I mean, both of the teams, like Raptors were batting first and we were batting first, and I could see both of the teams kind of locked in at pretty much par scores at the break time and even during towards the end. I think on the Raptors side, Raptors have been batting really exceptionally well, carried by Amar, our Bahubali of DCL. He and Kiran at the top have been performing time after time consistently and giving them great starts. They're missing the services of their captain Pradeep, but I think Vikas has stepped in that role of controlling the middle order and kind of playing the anchor role, and he played it to perfection in this. Great hitting towards the end from Manjunath. I think that propelled the score to over 106. I think at one point of time, similar to what we were looking at 1995 plus, but the last ditch effort, I think, got them over the 100, the 3-figure mark. And Raptors bowling hasn't been impressive as their batting, but in this case, I think the runs were enough. Pretty much everyone was amongst the wickets, very economical, even though just like strikers, I think Raptors too league a lot of extras. If you look at them, they have 20 extras as well. Pretty much everybody hold, wides galore. But I think Raptors have pulled this through, just like how they've been pulling through pretty much every game. The batting has been dominating, putting enough runs on the board, and then getting the team out just about there. They have lost a couple of bonus points in that fashion, where they have allowed the teams to come near them, and their bowling is a little bit of worry. But I see them, with their batting, the kind of batting they have, the style of the batting they have, and I think I probably took a leaf from a couple of these teams. I think I talked about it last week. Some of the teams are using that power game very effectively. I think one of them is Raptors. They promoted Amar and Kiran at the top, and they've been kind of causing a damage, with this ball, and this power play, the strategy of going after the bowling rather than being circumspectful. I think has played well for Raptors. So I think SSK, even though they are promising, but I think in this case, as we all predicted, Raptors were the better team, and they did justice to themselves.
Parthiv, Amrendra Bahubali Nuwala is having a fabulous season with the bat. We have been saying this for some time. But if you look at this game, this was a grind out win. Raptors are used to playing the razzle dazzle and the flashy type of cricket. But in this one, they put their heads down, and it was a monotonous grind out win, if you ask me. Abraham Lincoln once said, how many legs does a dog have if you can call his tail a leg? And the answer is 4, because Lincoln said, calling the tail of a dog as a leg doesn't make it a leg, you see. So the same token, I have to say, Nuwala has been Bahubali-esque, because saying that he is anything less than Bahubali-esque is not doing justice, because he has been playing fabulous cricket. He is the number 1 batsman in DCL in terms of strike rate. He is either number 1 or number 2 in runs scored this season on the batting scorecard. So he's definitely going for the, the orange cap. And if I had to paraphrase Shakespeare, and Parthiv, last time you asked, what does Hardeep Singh eat? If I had to paraphrase Shakespeare, I would say, on what meat does this Nuwala friend feed, because he has grown so great? I do not know what meat he is eating, but whatever he's eating, he's been performing lights out. As far as SSK is concerned, I think they are at a crossroads. They have 3 games remaining. They have 7 games done. And the next 3 games will decide if they get into the playoffs. They have UCA and Safaris next. And both of them are 60-40 games in favor of FSSK. But then they have a game against Troy Hawks, which, if you ask me, is probably a 40-60 game where the chances of winning is only 40%. But if they can win those 3 games, they probably get into the playoffs. But let's give Lingappan and let's give SSK credit for the fact that they are still in the mix. And if you ask me, Pool A is the one where there is so many moving parts. And it's going to come down to some interesting games down the end, because you can see that there are many teams which are very close to each other. And maybe the 6th team comes out of Pool A. I'm not sure, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, I think the next game was, I think we touched upon that, the Pokris Rangers game. I was surprised.
Gentlemen, we have about 5 games to go through in about 15 minutes. So just letting you guys know over there.
All right, we will
Sorry
do
to
it
interrupt,
quickly.
Go ahead, please.
No, we'll do it quickly. I think so. The Pokris Rangers game, I think I was surprised by Rangers getting even close as 94, because I thought, Pokris bowling would, make sure that the Rangers don't get anywhere close to 110. But I think there might be, like, again, the Pokris batting was dominated by Saran Raj. He's been the key. He's been playing really well at the top. Good to see Vicky back in the runs. I haven't seen that. I've been calling out for his performance to kind of get going. I know he's a great bat when he gets going. So it's good to see him amongst the runs. Still, I'm waiting for another favorite of mine, Satish, to come good. He was not out on 5, but I was hoping that he could also get amongst the runs. But all in all, I think, again, as the Saturday games were, I think this was 110 was a great score. And with the kind of bowling lineup Pokris has, I think it was enough to get it past MI Rangers. Although I'm pretty sure at the start, when Ifti and Aditya were going, Pokris might have had a scare, and then even Shravan in the middle. There must be some stutter, some butterflies in Ravi Narala's stomach as they went to the chase. But clinical performance with the ball as well. Raghu Kumar Palasamami, 4 wickets to him. Very, very miserly 5 extras. So I need to take a leaf out of Ravi Narala's book as to how Pokris have been so miserly with their wides. But all in all, great performance. So next week is going to be a great one. Pokris Sterling Strikers. Looking forward to that.
Avi, we need to hear from you on this game. But my own thought on this game was that Saran Raj is having quietly a fabulous season with the bat. In my opinion, he has replaced Vignesh as the best batsman on Pokris. It was good to see Vignesh back at his number 1 spot. Last week, I did say that his demotion down to 5 down or 6 down really is not the answer. He's too good a batsman to not figure it out, and all he needs is probably a pointer for somebody else. But coming back to 1 down spot and grinding this out, he didn't go for his big hits and things like that. He just grinded it out. That 19 runs, I think it's going to stand him in good stead the rest of the season. Because if you ask me, form is temporary, but class is permanent, and he's a class batsman. So it is only a matter of time before he comes good. And it's good that he has gone back to his number 1 spot. If you really look at it, Pokris missed the bonus by 1 run. I do not know if that one point is going to make a difference. But if you go to the Michigan Rangers scorecard, you'll find that they had their chances, and they let Ashish Kanduri to score 10 runs. Did they miss a trick there? Could you have saved that one run, and just by one run you missed that bonus point? So my calculation says that they missed the bonus point by one run. So, but once again, we expected Pokris to win this game, so no surprises there. It's just that I feel they could have probably, if they were on top of their game, not conceded that one run and got that bonus point.
Last wicket had 30 runs partnership. It's 9th.
Right.
If you want
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what I'd like to get to. Yes, we're saying Pokris won as expected, and the scorecard suggests that we won by what appears to be a relatively comfortable score, but really not, because yes, to go in chronological order, Saran was sublime. He looked by far the most comfortable batsman on that day, and he was playing some very good shots. Not just the shots that go for boundaries, but the ease with which he was batting was encapsulated in how the little nudges for ones and twos, the way he was subtly maneuvering himself around the crease and maneuvering the ball into the gaps as a result. So that was really special to watch. Vignesh, of course, yes, we are always happy to see him in good nick, and we're glad that he seemed to find some of his touch in this game. Neil, of course, was solid as always. The rest of us leaving quite a bit to be desired. I found myself in a bit of an unusual situation where I had, I guess, the freedom, I should say, to just go throw my bat. Clearly, it didn't come up very well, but and I ended up throwing it straight at a fielder. But all in all, 110. We thought we were just about at par, and our bowlers knew they had a task cut out. And yes, the point that Parthiv made, their opening pair of Ifti and I'm trying to think of the name. Can you go to the scorecard, please, Satya? Oh, Satya is gone. Aditya, yes, that was the batsman's name. Aditya, their opening partnership was actually quite threatening. Ifti, of course, was his usual belligerent self, but I have to give a shout out to Aditya. The way he scored those 2Ds on the offside, absolutely magnificent to watch, even as an opponent, and certainly a cause for concern initially. But it was an unfortunate mix-up that ended up in him being run out. I was actually involved in that. So that was a bit of a lucky break. And then really, other than Pavan, Shravan, no one really stood up and put their hand up. If you see their numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6 just threw the game away. And if only one of them at least had stood till for a bit more time, this game might well have gone the other way. And to your point about the last batsman, so Shravan and it says Ashish, his jersey said something else. But when they were batting, Shravan was taking his time, playing out 5 dots and taking a single off the last ball. And by then, and that's where we were focusing more on the Sterling Strikers GLCC game in the field as opposed to our own. And then before we knew it, these guys had crept up on our backs. And we were thinking, good God, the other guy must be completely inept with the bat for Shravan to be shielding him in that manner. But then the guy launched a 6. And that is where we lost that bonus point. And to be honest, yes, it stung. But honestly, I think some of us were just happy that we ended up winning the game. So some soul searching still for Pokris and MI Rangers both to do. Pokris to not let the game drift the way they did after stamping their authority in the bowling initially, or at least after we broke that first partnership. But MI Rangers, really, you can say all you want about, oh, this is how they play, this is how some of those players are, their job is to go out and hit. But please, guys, come on, you have a brain in your heads, use them. It's because that's where 1 or 2 partnerships can change any game. And I think MI Rangers are better than this. I don't know why Micah Dhm is not seen this season. I don't know if he's moved out of Michigan or if he's just stopped playing or if he's injured. But all in all, commendable job by Shravan leading the team, but he was just shortchanged by some of his teammates.
Also,
Okay.
not having Abhilash probably also hurt them, you see. I think he was probably playing the corporate, I don't know, Diversity Cup or something like
Yeah,
that.
you're right. Yep. Him not being there definitely probably had a bearing as well. Yes.
All right.
Dark Horses Thunderbolts. Wow, that seemed like an exciting game as well. Not something that we probably we did expect that may have gone close, but I don't think not to the extent of runs that were scored, I believe.
Yeah, I think this was a great game for a neutral spectator. A lot of runs between two teams, which are probably at par in terms of their batting strength. I think Dark Horses, primarily led by Pankaj. I don't know. He must be talking to himself as to what he and Rahul have to do to get a win. Time and again, I think this is the third or second time they've posted a very big score. I think they've scored 155 before two, and they've ended up on the losing side, or 100 plus, or some good score, and they've ended up on the losing side. And in this case, if you look at it, one out of the 148 runs, 86 of them were scored by Pankaj alone. So he was basically standing between Dark Horse and Thunderbolts, and then the Dark Horses bat fielding and their bowling. I think the reason why I say fielding is because I met one of their players here in Canton, and I was basically talking to them, and they said, and I asked them, like, how did you guys end up losing after scoring 150? And he said, we were dropping sitters. We were basically, there was at least half a dozen or more catches which were dropped in the field. And that basically meant the teams, and not only just this game, but they've been doing that over a period of time on almost every game. And that has made them kind of lose from good situations. I won't say winning situations, but good situations like these, like scoring 149, batting first. You would expect them to be defending this type of a score. But to credit should be given to Thunderbolts. I think Vinod Kumar, their captain, started off well. He made sure that they were on song after the early loss of the wicket, and then there were contributions from Prabhat. He's been in the DCL for a long time, so he's got that experience. He kept the scorecard moving, and then Arvind and Salim at the bottom uh, got them really close and made the game really exciting. I think if you look at the fall of wickets, you would know that from 6 for 87, but when the sixth wicket fell, to right up to 139, that is a big partnership, a 40 more than 60 runs partnership for the seventh wicket. I think that is where the game changed hands between Arvind and Salim, that big partnership which basically turned the tides against Dark Horses. And uh, I feel bad for Pankaj. I think he's definitely pulling his weight. He scored a brilliant 86, and he's picked up 3 wickets. I don't think you can ask anything more than that from any one individual player. But it's his team hasn't still got matured. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of newcomers here, as Dark Horses are in that rebuilding process in the last 2 years. They've lost a couple of really key players, Mahesh Muthiala, Raghu, those kinds of people who were really experienced. So it's kind of a rebuilding phase, but I'm hoping that this season they would have they can identify a few players who can really get their team back into the fold. So great win for Thunderbirds. I think even without the bonus point, I think those 4 points are dear to them.
Parthiv, 2 weeks ago when Dark Horses scored 155 against SSK, at that time, even at the break, even before SSK batted, I still felt that 60% chance the SSK was going to win that game, and sure enough, SSK won that game. This week, Dark Horses scored 148 runs, and I still felt 55% chance that Thunderbolts was going to win this game. And sure enough, it came down to the wire, and Thunderbolts won the game. I think the problem is that Dark Horses bowling has been leaking runs in every imaginable way. That is the only conclusion we can draw, because they have not been able to defend 155 and 148. And you said that they have been dropping catches, so obviously their fielders are not helping them out. But they have been giving up plenty of extras. Balls are screaming to be hit, and they are getting hit. And Dark Horses, if you ask me, are only in contention with the Titanic as to who can sink faster. But as usual, if you ask me, Watts had a great game with the bat. Now, 86 runs in 72 balls is a phenomenal effort. What more can the poor man do? Rahul Bhandari has been having a fabulous season this season, but it almost seems like only these two guys are showing up game after game to perform. And so the question was that I was rooting for Pankaj when he was in his 80s that he would hit a century, because it couldn't have happened to one a nicer guy. I mean, he's a fabulous person, and he has been in DCL for a long time. So I was hoping that he would get the century. He's always been a great bat, and over the years, he's the one who has been keeping dark horses afloat. But if dark horses honestly go back and evaluate themselves, sure, we are criticizing them and saying that this is not up to par. But if they ask the same question of themselves, and if they were honest with themselves, they too probably would reach the conclusion that they need better bowlers. And next season, if they're coming back and if they want to compete, they really need to have better bowling. If they had to make noise next year, then they need better bowling. This season is gone. So you are just going to play out the remaining 3 games for the sake of playing them out, but you're not going to make the playoffs. But at least for Pankaj Watt's sake, I hope that he can at least find some good bowlers who can actually defend some targets, because anytime you score 150, 155, there is no reason why you shouldn't be able to defend that target.
All right. So I think we've got 2 more games to go through. Is that right? Yeah.
Including this one.
So we have we have got Krcc Hitman, and then Strikers Spartans. Okay. So Krcc Hitman, I think this was a game which I thought would be closer than what it turned out to be.
Looks like Sandeep Gopu just joined. So if he's having he's having time constraints, then maybe we probably want to get him on. I don't think Botta has joined yet. But do you want to stop here and ask Mr. Gopu questions and bring him on and then continue on? I mean, it's your call. Avi, it's your call.
Hey, hi Viju, hi Satya, hi Avi and Parthiv. Thanks for having me again.
Hey, Sandeep, thank you for joining.
No problem. I can actually stay for half hour. Initially, I said 15 minutes, but I think I can stay for extended time if needed.
Gopu, when we got you, we need you you're the man of the hour, all right? So we might as well start asking you questions, and then Botta comes in, we can bring him on. But I think the first question, Avi, was I wanted to ask you about Bangera's century, but you can address it. I think Avi.
But there's Pradeep as well. Pradeep just joined in. So
okay.
Yeah. Hey, Pradeep.
All right, I'll let you drive, Avi.
Now, I was wondering if we could just wait while Pradeep was about to join, and we might use that as an impetus to get these 3 games done quickly. But no, now that Pradeep is also on, I think I can reconsider that thought. So, well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on DCL Primetime tonight. It's a real pleasure to have you guys, both of you accomplished players in your own right and leading some very competent teams. So, both teams that are often teams to beat for the other ones. So, welcome on board.
Thanks, Avi. Thanks, Viju, Parthiv, Satya. Thanks for having me again. Really pleasure to be back on the show. And hey, hi, Botta.
Hi, Gopu. Thanks for the invite as well. Thanks, Satya. Hi, Viju. Hi, Parthiv. Hi, Avi.
Hi, Botta. How is your injury? How is it coming along?
I had the surgery on 28th.
Okay.
The pins are going to be removed.
Actually, for the education of your viewers, I'm assuming it's your finger which is broken, right?
Yeah, my left ring finger is broken.
Okay.
I had 2 pins in there. It's going to be removed on 23rd.
Oh dear God.
Yeah,
we're truly sorry to hear that, but we all hope that you recover soon. I mean, yes, the game is one thing, but health is paramount. So, main thing.
Hopefully, I'll get
healed soon.
Yeah.
At least you'll be available for the playoffs, and you're the best money, one of the best money players DCL has ever seen. When the game is on the line, there are very few guys I would have batting in the middle other than Pradeep Botta or maybe an Arjun Ajbani. But he's on an elevated plane. So I have always admired him from afar, from the opposite end, basically. But he's a fabulous player, especially when the game is on the line. So glad to see you on the show.
Right, and I guess as our viewers might have gauged from the fact that we have these two people on board, the showcase game of the week is indeed Indus Thunders versus Raptors, and that is why we have the respective captains here joining us. So, gentlemen, fire away.
Thanks for the kind words, Viju.
Welcome.
So
I didn't expect that.
So my question is for both of you guys, whoever wants to answer. So obviously this is a game for Pool A, top position. Whoever wins this, I think, takes the top position Pool A. Considering that this is going to be a match which you're playing for the first position, are you guys going to bring your A team? Are we going to see all the big stars?
Parthiv, I'm not sure if it is going to be for the top position because I think Gopu and company have lost 2 games, whereas Botta and company have not lost a single game. So even if Raptors lose the game, I still think that if they can win the remaining games, they probably still secure the #1 spot. That's just my gut reaction based on what I remember from the standings. I obviously do not have the standings in front of me, but that's just kind of what I felt. But nevertheless, this is a key game. There you go.
You're right. I think Raptors still hold the first position even if they lose. But I think this will basically confirm the top position. If Raptors win, I think they go through as the top team. And if Indus wins, I think they definitely have a shot at least getting at the top position again. So
explain to me how Raptors lose the #1 position even if they lose the game. Just for that week, they're going to lose it.
Yeah.
Just for that week. But assuming that Raptors win the remaining 3 games, then they would still end up at #1, right?
Correct. So I'm not saying that this game decides the top 1 and 2, but essentially gives I think both the teams a very good chance to confirm.
Oh, this is all for bragging rights. Simple as that. This is these are the kind of games we want to play, and these are the kind of games everybody in DCL is looking forward to, because we want to see who is the top dog there in Pool A. Simple as that. And you knew right at the beginning of the season that these 2 teams are probably going to be fighting it out for top spot right from the beginning. So great momentum for Gopu and company. It was a fabulous win last week, and Bahubali and company have been demolishing everybody. So it's going to be a great game. Go ahead, Parthiv. I think you asked the question. I'll let them answer.
Parthiv, your question was, whether they'll have their A team, at least as far as Gopu is concerned. It's like, do you have anything other than an A team? I mean, you can just put together any of the 11 in your squad. And it's an insult to call any of those teams not an A team. But anyways, please go ahead. We've been hogging all the conversation.
I think Pradeep, you want to go first since you're already like unbeaten team. I don't want to take anything away from you.
The games have started already. Huh?
No.
The mind games.
No, irrespective of the result, and I mean, irrespective of anything, I really like Pradeep a lot, and we already speak a lot outside, and whenever we speak, it's always a good conversation. So it's nothing like that. So Pradeep, you can go ahead.
You can go ahead. You're the defending champion, right?
I knew this was coming, but thanks.
15 all.
All right, I can go first. Yeah. I mean, coming to firstly, Viju, you asked about what you think about Praveen's century. Yeah, definitely. That was one of the awaiting things. And this was the first century for DCL 25th year. And as well, this was the first century for Indus in about, like, I think when Indus formed almost about 20 years now. So I think this is a great moment for us. So we are trying to honor him with, how do I feel? Definitely, there are no words to express, but we were fortunate that we were there to watch his innings and thoroughly enjoyed it. And I don't know how Praveen enjoyed his innings, but outside we were really thinking like we all were playing and we were making centuries for the team. So I think everybody were really, really happy, and there's no other sentences that we can make up, even though there are a lot many to make. And the only thing what we are trying to do is honor him with a crystal trophy that I'm already I've ordered it. So that's something he truly deserves it, and that's the honor from Indus team and from all of us. And this is a century to remember. And he thoroughly enjoyed it because he was always thinking about not scoring runs in the first few games. And we were always backing him up, saying, "Yeah, you are kind of a player who should not think about a game or two, but I think you should. Just one innings will change everything for you," and that's exactly what happened. And he truly remembers those words, and I think he really like remembers all the things that we were just supporting him in the back. And I think yeah, a player like a caliber like him definitely will deliver one day or the other, but it just needs to happen at one time initially. I think then afterward it just flows. So I think, yeah, it is coming at the right time for us, because we are still fighting for the spot for the playoffs. We lost two good games, and I already said in the beginning of the DCL season itself, like everybody thought Pool A was not a tough pool, but I always thought Pool A was the tough pool, and I knew somehow this would be some kind of a competitiveness that happens within Pool A, because everybody were like hungry to come and play on field after the 2020 season washout. So I knew the teams will be like pumped up more, and as we know, the DCL getting much more competitive, and everybody wants to field a good team. And if at all they're fielding a team in DCL, they're making sure at least they don't have a team that can be beaten easily. So I think that's the level of DCL that's been going for last few years now. And this year, 25th, right on time. It was a great season to watch. Like all the teams performing at their level best, and we're seeing a lot of good players. I think, yeah, coming to the point is Bangera's century was a dream come true for Indus, and thankful that he joined us, and not only for his milestone, but I think it's a great milestone for the entire team, and everybody is really, really happy.
Perfectly summed up, Gopu, but I also think that it's ironical that Bangera played so many years for Megabytes, and he played so many years for Knockers, and he never scored that century, and he comes and joins Indus, and it's poetry in motion, and he scores the century. I've always wondered how come he had never scored a century before. And I remember when he was around 65, I took a screenshot and sent it to Arjun in Houston, saying that looks like Bangera is going to score a century. And I felt if he scored the century, he's probably going to break the DCL all-time record. So who is the great man who got him run out? I mean, which guy got him run out?
No, actually, that was kind of a mistake from the umpire side. Like it was a no ball, and as soon as the no ball was like hit, it went all straight to the fielder, and the umpire did not give. Rather, he was just looking at the ball. And I don't want to name the umpires, and no controversies over there. Like they did a fabulous job on that day. But only thing is one mistake, which Bangera was half the way, and the other person just ran the other way. So unfortunately, got run out. But he was looking tremendously strong that day, and we thought if he was there, he could have easily closed 150 as well.
Are you telling me that it was a no ball? But if it is a no ball, still a run out counts, right?
Correct. But the decision of no ball wasn't like it. He was in a dilemma where he was just not looking at whether he was just looking at the umpire, and he just stopped. If he would have run, it was still not a run out, because he was easily reachable to the other end.
Okay.
He was ball watching.
Yeah.
It's sad that you came so close, because I honestly felt that I agree. If he had stayed throughout, he probably breaks the 150 barrier. But something which was unthinkable. But it's good that Indus is honoring him. I hope that DCL, I have already challenged the DCL committee to do the right thing, not be penny wise and pound foolish. And maybe they have not done this in the past, but that is not a justification for not doing it now. I think anytime somebody scores a century, I think you should especially honor the guy. So at least on my behalf and on behalf of Glad's Gopu, please convey to Bangera our utmost respect and our appreciation for a well-earned century. One of the best players in DCL, one of the best players DCL has seen for a long time. The century was coming a long time ago, and it should have come a long time ago, but better late than never.
Yeah, definitely, Vichu. Thanks for that, and I'll definitely share with Bangera. And also, we have honored Dinesh Pandeti as well for his tremendous performance in MIPL, 4 overs, 4 maidens, 9 wickets. So we do recognize, like, and it's always an honor to just for a kind of a remembrance for them as well with whatever they're playing for a team. So I think it's always our responsibility to just provide some kind of an honor from our end is what we always think through as from Indus committee and Indus team level. So that's why I think this was another milestone after long, maybe too many years, but nevertheless, we got another one, this time with a bat.
All right. You guys have still not answered my question.
Oh.
Waiting.
I mean, to my, I still didn't post or publish my playing 12 yet. Still waiting on a couple of players. But the only thing is, yeah, as we all know, we already lost 2 games, and always this year we are facing a lot of availability issues as well. So I don't know. I always treat whatever team I'm going with is my...
With 100 players in your roster, really?
No, I mean, but Avi, as you said, I mean, irrespective of, there would be definitely key players, but irrespective of that, I always trust my team with whatever playing 11 or 12 we're going with. But yeah, I mean, team against Raptors, definitely we wanted to go with the best, what we have. Even though we might miss, we might not miss, we don't know yet. But only thing is, we are trying our best to get the playing best 12, and because we wanted to have a good game as well, because Raptors are unbeaten, and Raptors will come with all the blazing guns what they have, because I know they will be pumped up because of the 2017 semi-final, which Pradeep will definitely, Pradeep and Vikas definitely will remember that loss, and because there were a lot of conversations after that as well. So I always expected Raptors will be coming with full strength. So I never doubted that, irrespective of whether they are on the top or whether they lost any games until now. So that's where we were also preparing ourselves. But only thing is, it's all fortunate, like players availability. So we are trying our best, but I have to see or wait until tomorrow to see what our playing 12 will look like.
Pradeep, clearly you don't have your alpha team available, considering you yourself have that bandaged hand that you're showing to all of us. So, but otherwise, you think most of your big guns are available?
We don't have big guns like Indus has. Most of our big guns are like, either stuck in India or injured.
You have the bazooka. You have
you have the biggest gun already. We just quoted Shakespeare and said, what meat is our great Amarendra Nuwala eating, because he has grown so great that we had to even bring Shakespeare into the equation. So I mean, he's having a fabulous season. I mean, he's belting anything and everything, not just out of the park. He's trying to send it into the Atlantic Ocean there.
Yeah, seriously, he's in the form of his life. I mean, you see the leather ball cricket or Michigan Cup or DCL, he's right over there, and he has this, this confidence or like positive attitude whenever he goes in. Like, he doesn't know like which bowler is bowling, and he doesn't care which bowler is bowling. If the ball is there to hit, he's gonna hit. He's not like my type of batsman or Vikas type of batsman. Like we like kind of build the innings and then go for the big hits, like last 5 overs or 3 overs to go in the power play, last 3 overs. He's not like that. He's ball one, go there, attack. If he gets out, he doesn't regret. When he doesn't say like I missed a century or I missed a 50, he's like, I did my job. So yeah, we have a good team. We've been underdogs. I've been listening to the show. I mean, we've been underdogs. We've been treated underdogs, and we like it that way.
Not in my books. In my books, you guys are semi-finalists.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody would refer to you as
I'm not sure if we have said you're underdogs. We have just said that I think every game, if I'm not mistaken, all of us are unanimously picking Raptors to win. But
Right.
what we have said is the bowling has been a little suspect. I don't think it was on the batting end.
So-
The batting
so
end,
you-
you have been hitting lights out.
Yeah.
No,
So if you-
it's just a legend going around that we label them underdogs, right? Right, Pradeep?
no comments. So yeah, I mean, as you said, Viju, like, we've been batting the net and we've been scoring runs and things like that. But if you ask me, we are like in top 5 bowling unit. I seriously, I play against them. I mean, I used to play before the injury against these set of bowlers. So they are like, lights out. I mean, they are young, they bowl pace, they have variations, and it's not like we are clicking. But if you ask me batting or bowling, I say my bowling is. I mean, we are a bowling team. We have like
Interesting.
five.
So you seriously 100% believe that?
Yeah, we are not clicking. I mean, in the sense we are not clicking, but we have
Yeah, I mean,
3 more games coming up.
Yeah, because you gave so many runs against Troy Hawks, and then another game where again you dropped the bonus
UCA.
point where UCA scored all those runs. Either the ball is making a difference where people are getting premium purchase for the shots which they are executing, but somehow
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
always thought that the Raptor bowling was good, but this year I probably am finding it difficult to say that with a straight face. The only reason being when I look at the scorecard, that is not manned out. But having said that, many people discredit Glads as a bowling unit, and I have always felt that we are a top 5 bowling unit. And if we are not in the top 5, I wanted to know who else is there, But I see what you're saying, but I guess the proof is in the pudding. I think that's where the problem is.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying, right? I mean, on the if you look at the stats and things like that, I mean, even I tell them, those bowlers, like, you guys are like in top notch. Even if the batsman scores like 60 or 70, you guys can defend it. Because we played last year. I mean, we played like in the COVID time. It's the same unit that we fielded in the Michigan Cup, and these guys are like bowl lights out. Because I was keeping, the pace was like too good. And if you take the wickets column in Michigan Cup, you can see like I think our 5 bowlers are in top 10 last year Michigan Cup. I mean, you can say like most players did not play last year Michigan Cup, but the bowling is class. So I mean, it's not clicking right now, but they're slowly getting the momentum because Manoj recently came from India. Mohit Patel is like a new guy added to the squad this year to Raptors, and Ajit, I think he played his first game last week, and Kiran is nursing an injury, but he's coming back to his usual best. And the 5th bowler is Anil Balreddy. He's been unable, like on and off, but he's also clicking right now. And we have Ashok, Varun, and we have a couple of guys who are stuck in India. Hopefully, they'll come by Patriots game, that is next week, to get them qualified. Otherwise, this is the unit that we have. And as I said, batting or bowling, I'll say bowling unit any day. First game, it was my mistake. I thought we'd get the bonus because at the first half of the innings we were 44-1 for 1, and we've been playing after like more than 1.5 year in DCL. So I wanted to give some guys to roll their arm.
Okay.
Yeah, the first over after break or 14th over, I guess, went for 16. Then somebody raised their hand, asked me one more over. That went for 13. And then you know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're going against a very good Indus team. They're coming with great momentum, and obviously you're going to be tested like you've never been tested before. Gopu already brought up the 2017 semi-final into the equation. Obviously, he's given you a gentle reminder that last time around that they ended up on top. What do you have to do to reverse that position and make sure the Raptors come out on top on this game? Obviously, you'll have your think tank, and who is leading the side in your absence?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to mention once again. I mean, so after my absence, I've been coming to ground and then giving my inputs and selecting the team, things like that. But mostly it's like Anjuru and Kiran and Amar are taking care. I should really thank Anjuru. I mean, all these like last 4 wins, it's just because of Anjuru, Kiran, and Amar. Mostly they've been, patrolling the players on the field. So these guys have been stepping up. Like, Amar.
So
missed
who's the
play,
acting
Kiran,
captain?
Anjuru, Pradeep Anjuru.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. Scope mentioned to 2017, it was our semi-finals right after our quarter-finals against you guys. I would say like a mix of bad luck and an easy sitter that we missed that game. I had a hamstring injury because of my soccer game in office, so I was not completely fit before the game. And then the first catch that Vijay Rudramraja gave, we dropped it, and then everything was like going down. So yeah, they played really well, and I think they won that year. They're a good team, and our guys are also like they're treating every game as like a normal game. So I told them like treat this as a normal game. Don't think like this is something like we have to win or we have to prove or revenge from 2017. I said win or lose, what I see on the field is like you guys have to compete. You guys have to compete. I mean, you guys have to give your 100 or 150%, whatever you have, give it over there. Results aside, you just treat it as kind of a dress rehearsal for a semi or a final or a quarter-final game. So that's what my
you're 100% right on that, because very rarely you get during the regular season games of this magnitude. When we played GLCC, we knew that, okay, this was the game where we are going to get to measure ourselves against another top class unit to see where exactly we stand, kind of a thing. Because oftentimes when you play in the playoffs, that's one and done. And so when you get an opportunity to play a top notch unit, especially a defending champion, you take it with both hands and you look at it, because these are the kind of games which you'll remember long after you're done playing, because you'll still go back and remember for that special performances which you put. And I'm very confident that your players will be all pumped up, ready to go, as is Gopu's players. So I wanted to wish you the very best in this coming game. I know that we will be watching this game very closely. All eyes of DCL are on this game. That's why it is the showcase game of the week. It was a unanimous selection from all 4 of us for showcase game of the week honors. Both teams are top-notch units, and these are the kind of games which make you call statement games. Gopu, let me ask you, what does Indus need to do to get past Raptors? They are undefeated. They are high on momentum. You can't have better momentum than that. Undefeated team coming into this thing, and then you obviously proved yourself last game. What do you think you have to do, Gopu, to make sure that your 2017 semi-final win remains intact this game too?
Firstly, we just have to forget about whatever win or lose or championships that we had 2019 or 2017, but just play as a unit. Like I think Indus always gelled well. If we played as a unit, we really win the games in the way that we wanted. So I mean, I think it all depends on winning or losing. It just doesn't depend on how you take the opposition, but I think more of like how you plan yourselves better for every game, because after the 2 losses, we were really we really wanted to think through. I mean, as I said, availability is a major issue for us, and we're trying our best to balance out the team as much as possible, even though a few key players are not available. So I think playing against Raptors, it's always a good, and I rightly agree with Botta saying about the balling unit they have. So I think it is always, on the cards, it's showing they're not able to like defend not defend, but they're not able to give more than 70, 80 runs. But if you see SSK game, that was the right game for them to prove the balling unit, because they scored 109 and they only conceded 77. So I think they are coming back as a balling unit as well. But it always takes some time, as they have some new players from the earlier seasons. So all we have to do is just play up to the potential of the ball, and it's like we really have to play. If we get to bat first a ball, if we get to bat first, then definitely we have to play the 25 over quota and If we bowl first, then we have to make sure we have to see the big players and how we can restrict them to a certain score, because they already have like a very big batting unit. So yeah, I think it's
How much?
just.
So
Sorry,
how much,
go ahead.
Sandeep, you mentioned, you restrict them. How much do you think is a good score to defend? If you are batting first, how much would you say is a good score for your bowling team to defend?
Well, it's again like I would say this would be kind of a playoff game. Whenever we play in a playoff game, irrespective of how hard the ball is. So I believe like 100, 110 would be something which would be defendable and also which would be chaseable. So irrespective of the ball and irrespective of whatever we're playing, because as we played Brownstone in 2019, we scored it on 115, but at one point they were almost chasing it out, but we restricted them to 80. So I think, yeah, 100, 110 would be a par score for either both of the teams, whether they can defend or whether they can chase it quite easily, because a bad hit can also go all the way for 6 with this ball. So that's what my belief is.
Gopu, one question which we had was, on this show, we discussed your 2 losses and we felt there were questionable decision making. Can you explain the thought process? And we said, we can't figure it out. Only Gopu can explain this as to how he could have arrived at that kind of decision making. For example, you have, who is this? Your Spartans guy, the former skipper of Spartans, Abhishek Shankari. Abhishek Shankari. And Abhishek Shankari, I've always thought was a batsman, but in that game, you used him as a bowler, and that way he bowled only 1 over. And the poor guy didn't even get to bat, but you lost the game. But the very next game, we criticized that and said that there is no way that makes any sense. And you have Ravi Ganta, who always played for Megabytes as a bowler. He always came at number 11, if I'm not mistaken. And yet you had Ravi Ganta going ahead of Chetan Dushyant and Abhishek Shankari and people like that. Sure, he scored 10 runs in that game, but when I look at Chetan Dushyant, he's a class apart from everybody else. So we could not understand those decisions. And we said, we need to get you in so that you can explain to all of DCL as to what was going through your mind when you were making those decisions, because clearly that decision cost you, because Abhishek Shankari did not get to bat and you lost that game. Whereas in the next game, he scored, 30 odd runs. So he's always a good batsman. And I thought of him more as a batsman than as a bowler. Yeah, he can bowl, but I think you are better bowlers than Abhishek Shankari, if you ask me.
No, I think, as I said, right, it's majorly because of the availability, and with the availability.
What does availability have to do with him going number 12, sitting on the?
No, let me explain, Viju. So Abhishek, even though he was part of the team, sometimes, for example, if you go with the Troy Hawks game, he was supposed to go up the order, but as I said, sometimes even though the players are showing up in the ground, since we have a leverage of using a super sub, so they had to leave early, or there will be some sort of issues, right? So that's what happened with Troy Hawks, that he had to leave early. But with Patriots, we were trying something different, which was kind of costed us a game. But yeah, I think but honestly, yeah, Abhishek is a great player, and that's why we are trying to. We always try. I mean, this is not the first time Indus is trying. If you see 2017 or 2018 or 2019, whenever we formed the team, we never have the same batting order for all the players. We basically fix some of the positions, but some positions we are kind of we try to rotate here and there. And for Patriots game, that's what happened. And we had all the 11 batting. So to be honest, everybody bats, everybody can bowl. But only thing is that game, we took it a little easy with a score that we have to chase. And because of which, all of a sudden, when we started losing the wickets, I think it was too late for us to think about. I think the batting order was messed up. So that's exactly what happened. And our plan was not having on the top 4-5 players who went. Only a couple of them were in the top 5, and the rest of were there in the bottom 5. So yeah, truly, it's a big mess from me. And I mean, I take the blame for a win or a lose. So I think that's what happened, and it didn't work out pretty well for us.
Fair enough. I mean, I appreciate an honest answer. By the way, I noticed that you are, and these guys are probably going to like this. I noticed that we had you as our first guest on the show. And I was told that immediately after that, you were in such hot demand that you also went on the other show, and you were the guest on that show. So I want to tell you, Gopu, the other show is like fine wine, all right? It's fine wine. They are like fine wine. We are like water, Gopu. We are like water. But the last I checked, Gopu, everybody drinks water.
The elixir of life.
I had to get that shot in. You know me, I'll make fun of anything. So
No, I know. And that's
hey,
always
guys,
part of being
yeah, guys, please feel free to ask any more questions. Avi?
No, I believe we've let them have their say. We're just hoping that this is a justified build-up to what we expect would be a very exciting game. Considering the competency of both these teams, I don't think this is one of those SGSWs that will end up being lopsided. I don't think that'll happen. So I'd just say if there's no more questions, we can move on. I believe Gopu also has, Gopu did mention that he's here for a half hour and we've hit that mark. I don't know if he still wants to stay on, but by all means, please feel free to do that. But I believe we can move on though.
Yep.
Yeah, no problem, Abhi. Actually, I do have to drop off, but thanks again for having me. And yeah, we'll try our best and we'll give our best for this Saturday. And I mean, as I said, like, yeah, whatever team we have, we give our best against any opposition. So, and Raptors being top of the pool, definitely it would be, we try our best to have a cracker of a game.
It will be a cracker of a game. I mean, it'll be a statement game. I mean, everybody has been looking forward to it. I know I'm looking forward to it. Many of our players are looking forward to it. Anytime some two top teams are playing, it's cricket who's the winner. So best of luck to both of you.
Yeah, also
Thanks, Viju.
thanks for having me on the show.
Best of luck, guys.
Best of luck to Sandeep Gopu. I would love to play this game, but unfortunately I can't play this game. But yeah, hopefully it lives up to the billing.
Yes,
thanks
for the invite.
thanks,
both the
Buddha.
teams. Yes, thank
Yeah,
you for
thanks,
joining us.
Buddha, and
All
good
the
luck
best.
for Raptors as well. And hope you recover soon. And hope we get to play against each other if we are comfortably in for the playoffs. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
I have to play.
Thanks
I have
again.
to play one more game to get qualified to playoffs.
No, you will actually.
Really?
Hope you
play
get
with one
recover
hand.
soon. Yeah. You can,
Okay,
yeah. As
see you.
Parthiv said, you can really play with one hand, and you can still win the game for Raptors. So,
Okay, guys.
Cool.
nice
Well,
talking to
gentlemen,
you all,
thank you
and
very
thank
much.
you all.
Good luck
Yeah.
for this coming
Good
week.
luck, guys.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
All right.
To my fellow analysts, I am sorry, I probably have to drop off as well. Thankfully, I was able to stay for a lot longer than I intended, but unfortunately, I do have to join an ongoing meeting that is happening, believe it or not, at 10 p.m. our time. So it's, I don't know if I can sneak back in, but we'll see. But if not, thank you very much to the audience as well. As always, keep following us week after week. We are quite sure you enjoy DCL Primetime and everything that we bring to you. So thank you very much. Take care and good night to all of you, as well as to my fellow panelists for tonight. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Abhi.
Bye-bye.
All right. I think we got a couple of games to cover, and then we'll jump into the predictions.
There's 3 more games.
Yeah.
Let's go quick.
So yeah, we can go quickly. I think this Krcc Hitman game, I think this was the one which we were talking and I left it. I think this was primarily, Jasmeet Singh who, added those vital 34 runs with Abhishek Verma. Those two, that partnership was almost 60 runs, which, brought them to that score of 110. And I think after that, I think this game was dogged by controversies. I was following this game on the ground, and there was a lot of heated discussion, a lot of decisions which were being questioned, but eventually the game did go through, and Hitmen have been performing really well, but they came against Krcc, who have always been performing well, and throughout the season their bowling and batting has kind of made sure that they win. They haven't been that impressive in completely dislodging the opponents, but they have done enough to get past and win games. So I would say this is another effort where if you look at the bowling card, pretty much you see Ronak Patel. He the magician still has that magic. He continues to be the top wicket taker, and even during our game, one of the things which I had warned my batsmen was, be careful against him. He looks innocuous, but he has a knack of getting a bunch of wickets. So he continues to do so, and that's one of the reasons why KRCC have been able to win.
Viju, do you have anything to add?
I felt the KRCC versus Hitman. I have a problem with the umpiring. I probably think that the umpiring on this game, if you ask me, this has been happening a few times, wherein you are having two umpires, and you often see the leg umpire getting involved in a decision which he has no business getting involved. And if you ask me, teams take advantage of it. Teams often go and ask the main umpire, go and talk to the leg umpire, go and talk to the leg umpire. And I wanted to share the DCL rule book. So let me share the rule book here. And so can you guys see the screen?
Not yet. Yeah, now we can.
All right. So let me read this. Bottom line and key advice to umpires is to take their time before rendering any decision and not to be in a hurry to give a decision. Once a decision is rendered, it's set in stone unless the opposing captain agrees to change the decision. Neutral umpires' decision cannot be reversed if that decision is within their domain. And leg umpires or main umpires, for that matter, should not, under any circumstances, even walk up to the main umpire or the leg umpire to offer a consultation just because the fielding team asked or pressurized the leg umpire or main umpire. This is exactly what is happening. Glatz played Pokris. Pokris put pressure on the umpire. Go and talk to the leg umpire. He goes and talks to the leg umpire. Well, the main umpire saw that it is not out, and he had already shakes his head. Nobody ever says not out clearly, all right? They just shake their head. Every time I go for umpiring, I just shake my head. I don't specifically say not out, all right? No umpire does that. And what happens is they'll pressurize the umpire. They go and talk. And now you have seen with the eye that it is not out, and you have already felt it is not out. But now you say that the benefit of doubt goes to the batsman, but you go and talk to the leg umpire, and now you're saying that the ear test is more important than the eye test. If the ear test is more important than the eye test, why don't we just blindfold both these umpires and just ask, did you hear anything? Why are you even watching anything? This is exactly what happened in the KRCC versus Hitman game, wherein KRCC pressurized the main umpire, asked him to consult the leg umpire. But even before the main umpire can even make a decision, the leg umpire, in this case, which is Ganesh Gadiraju, walks up to the main umpire. My friend Ganesh Gadiraju is a good umpire. The only problem is he needs to read the rule book. The rule book says that he is not supposed to move from his position. He is not even supposed to offer an opinion. He shouldn't even be bothering to look at the main umpire. If Mukul Monga wants to go and consult him, that's a this thing. But Mukul Monga is seeing with his eyes. And with his eyes, he says that it's not out, and he has shaken his head saying that it is not out. But the fielding team has put enough pressure on the main umpire and asked him, hey, go ahead and this thing. So sure enough, he goes to Ganesh Gadiraju, and Ganesh Gadiraju is watching from behind the batsman. What view are you getting? You are getting no view. You're saying there is a sound. Probably that's what he's saying. And the next thing you know, it is given out. Well, Yogesh Mittal and company then claimed that is out. And that's the end of the discussion. And, that was what happened. But guess what? This is the same Yogesh Mittal and the same KRCC team who had a huge problem when they played Kings 11, and the same thing happened to them. And they were claiming and screaming at the top of their mind, saying that, unfair. It was totally biased umpiring. The umpires are crap. They are in this game to set us up, and, it was bad decision. And this is exactly what Maulik Patel came and told us last week, that, the umpires made bad decisions, and that's why we lost that game. Well, guess what?
Yeah, even
Guess
against
what,
our
Partha?
game, I think the same thing happened. I think we got there was a nick or wasn't a nick, whichever the case. The umpire wasn't sure, and it was the pressure of the fielding side that made him go to the leg umpire, and eventually he was given out. But
So
yeah,
the
I think this happens. Yeah.
Problem is, Partha, then you can't say benefit of doubt goes to the batsman. No, the benefit
Exactly.
of doubt goes to the fielding team. Every
Right.
single time this is what is happening. The benefit of doubt seems to go to this thing. These umpires, look at point number 5, the consultation comes into play only if the umpire making the decision invites the other umpire for a consultation. Guess what? Mukul Monga didn't even invite the other umpire, which is Ganesh Gadiraju, for a consultation. But sure enough, Ganesh Gadiraju walked in to offer his opinion. Well, guess what, Ganesh? Please read the rule book. You're a good umpire, but this is the one boo-boo which you made. And I'm going to show you why that was a clear not out. Because here, we hope that this will greatly. All right. Now, since both umpires are neutral, leg umpires are advised not to influence the decision unless consulted by the main umpire. Well, the main umpire doesn't even make a consultation. You have already gone up to give him a consultation. See, if that is the case, then the leg umpire is the most important umpire in the whole business. What is the main umpire standing there for? So having said that, umpires are welcome to consult, but you know what, Parthu? That consultation should only come if I am the main umpire and Satya is the batsman and you are the leg umpire. I feel that Satya nicked the ball, but I want to be 100% certain. Before I give him out, I walk up to you and say, hey, what did you hear a sound? Because I already feel that he has nicked the ball, all right? And then when you say, hey, I heard a sound, then I can proceed to give it out. But if I already saw that the bat has not touched the ball, why am I even consulting you? I don't need to consult you. It is not your decision. It is my decision. And why in the world do I need to consult you? The eye is superior to the ear. The noise can come from any number of things. All right. So now let's look at this. All right. I'm going to show you 2 clear instances. This is not sent by the who is this? The Hitman team or by anybody else. This is interested people. All right. This is previous week. All right. Our friend Satish Belamakonda. You look at this. The leg umpire has given him an out because the fielding team is screaming.
Wait, are you sharing?
Yeah. Aren't you able to see it?
No, we are still seeing the rule book.
All right. Can you see it now?
Nope.
Hold on.
Probably.
Why is it? Share. All right. Let me see if I can.
Share your desktop so you'll be able to see.
You shared only the document, I think.
Yeah.
This is.
Can stop and.
Okay. Should I stop and share again?
Yeah. Yeah. When you click on share screen, share desktop, it will ask you what you want to share. So share desktop, not an individual doc.
Share the first window.
First window, yeah.
Well, where am I clicking? It says only all participants.
At the bottom, we see participant chat share screen. See those options.
Are you able to see this?
Yeah, now we can. Yes.
All right.
Is this a photo?
This is a photo. Yes. This happened in the previous game. Satish Belamakonda was declared run out. But as you can see, the leg umpire can't see it because the keeper has already dislodged the bails even before collecting the ball. All right. So this is a clear not out. But guess what? Satish Belamakonda was declared out. And I told you in that game that, as much as Satish Belamakonda has been getting run out, I had gone back and looked at it. And when I looked at it live, I didn't, when I watched the video at full speed, I didn't feel he was run out. And, sure enough, somebody sent me this snapshot to show that, yes, he was not run out. All right. Now, can we look at the other game? This is the game. All right. Can you see the screen?
No, it's still sharing the old.
Yeah, it's still sharing the old. All right. Let's see. Can you see this?
Yes.
All right. Now, let's see this here. You see that? There is a clear gap between the ball and the bat. This is a photo frame at the exact point. This is what they claimed was out. And guess what? The keeper, he was not even sure. He just puts his hand on his leg, on his head and says, you know what? He doesn't even really appeal. You can go back and look at the 2-hour 37-minute mark of the video which Maulik Patel recorded of this game. At the 2-hour 37-minute mark, Abhishek just puts his hand on his head, and because clearly it admits the guy who sent this to me was not from Hitman. He said clearly there is a gap between the bat and the ball, and sure enough, to me there is a difference between the bat and the ball. And guess what? I can drive a Mack truck through that. But guess what? He was given out. Now the Hitmen obviously are going to feel really bummed out that, you know what, we lost a wicket which we shouldn't lose. And sure enough, you could hear it on the video where they are saying Maulik Patel came on the show and talked big about umpiring and saying all the things which needs to happen about umpiring and criticizing paid umpiring. But guess what? This was not even paid umpiring. This was umpires sent by teams. And that's why I said last week itself when Maulik Patel came, I don't think it makes any difference whether it's paid umpiring or whether it is umpires sent by the teams. If the umpire doesn't know the rule book, and if the umpire is always going to go with the benefit of doubt for the fielding team, which is what seems to be happening, then what happens is every single time the batsman is going to be taken to the cleaners, and the benefit of doubt never is to the batsman. And so I think our teams need to change this. Umpires who need to go to the game, they need to understand that, you know what, this should not happen, that you should go and offer a consultation only if the main umpire asks you for a consultation. And the main umpire should consult the leg umpire only if you think the batsman is out. And you just want to verify if the leg umpire has heard a sound. If I already saw that it was not out, then why am I even consulting the leg umpire and going with what he heard? In both these cases, the leg umpire didn't see anything. Because if you look at the height at which and the bat is behind in front of the batsman, the leg umpire can see nothing. But you know what? When it happens to us, it's bloody murder. And I am not blaming Krcc. I'm not blaming strikers. I'm not blaming Kings 11. None of the teams are any better. Tomorrow, if Glad's team is playing, I am very sure Glad's team will also be saying the same thing. Go and consult the leg umpire. Go and consult the leg umpire. None of us are saints in this, all right? But what we can do is we can ask our umpires to understand that, you know what? Consult the leg umpire only if you feel that the batsman was out. That's when you go and ask if you heard a sound, just to back it up. Otherwise, where is the question of benefit of doubt? If you are going to go by what the leg umpire heard, then why not blindfold the umpire? Why does he even have to watch? Just listen to the sound. But that's my spiel on this. I mean,
just play the video for a minute. So
all right, please go ahead and play the video. And this is Ronnie, all right? Ronnie is bowling, and Ronnie's ball always moves. And look at that. He puts his hand on his head. All right. But the point fielder and the fielder at the square leg, you know, lead the charge. And then soon 11 guys are involved in it. And you can see that the main umpire doesn't even make a move. And then somewhere along, you'll see that the leg umpire starts making his advance. But I felt that, you know, definitely the Hitman batsman got taken to the cleaners. It was certainly a not out. But guess what? I don't feel so bad now that Krcc lost that game because of bad umpiring, and they can scream all the bloody murder they want. But guess what? In this game, this is the same thing. On one time, it didn't work in your favor, and the other time, it worked in your favor. But is that the way to play the game? I mean, I honestly feel let the umpires do their job. Let's not force them to go and ask the leg umpire. But guess what? Every team does that. And I'm not saying that one team is better than the other team. I just feel that the umpires need to take control of the game and say, you know what? I'm not consulting the leg umpire. Why should I consult the leg umpire? If I felt it was not out, that's the end of discussion. And if somebody tells me to go and ask the leg umpire, I'm going to tell him, you know what, go and start bowling. Otherwise, if you tell me next time one more thing, you're going to see a different color of me.
The next game is Strikers versus Spartans.
Yeah, this game again, as I was calling out, we played in Ann Arbor, which was a soggy ground. It was very difficult to score runs. I mean, I think we were put into bat. I think both teams wanted to bowl first because it was so slippery in the outfield and the pitch was so soggy. The ball was barely bouncing. But somehow I think we scraped through and got 101 runs. I mean, thanks to our lower middle order, Rahul Pawar. I think in this game the ball was not coming to the bat, so we didn't want to kind of expose him very early on. We kind of held him on until the second power play, so that we could take advantage of them. He and Bunkim, Bunkim is coming back after a long hiatus. I don't know if you remember him. He was part of the super subs.
Yeah. Why I remember it so well? It was the Indus super subs. I will never forget. Correct. Indus super. It was the big merger. And guess what, Partha? After the big merger, only 2 guys survived that big merger. All right. It was initially a 5 and 5. Azim instituted the merger, and it was 5 and 6 and 6 and 5. And then guess what? The super subs had only 2 good players. I think one was a guy named Anand, and then the other was Bunkim.
Yep.
And and after that, only these 2 guys were in the 11. You all right? And then soon Bunkim also ended up on the outside, and only Anand was there. All right. So I know how that merger worked out.
Yeah, so it's good to see him back. He's been nursing a ACL for a bit in the last couple of years. It's good to see him back, and he scored those vital 16, 18 runs at the end. Got us the momentum to get us that 101. And on the bowling side, I think we had this game wrapped up pretty nicely with wrap, but somehow we let it drag through, and eventually it started to come to bite us. I think we leaked another bunch of extras, more than we should have. Lot of drop catches in the middle. The last wicket, I mean, for some reason we couldn't get him out. Ishwar, came in, and at that time the game was I think 2 overs, 28 or 30, and we were pretty sure that we were going to, wrap this up, get the last wicket. But he got us really worried, and eventually we ended up giving up the bonus point. But in the end, I think I was relieved that we got across the line, to be honest, because the way we were fielding in the last 2 or 3 overs, it was incredible that we were panicking so much. So all credit to our batsmen who gave us the score. And we still have, in both the games last weekend, our fielding was way below standard. So that's something I am very, very actively working on, and we haven't been able to practice that much because of the back-to-back games. But we'll see this weekend. Hopefully, we get on the right side of the fielding.
Guys, I just got a text. I invited Mansab to come on the show. He's been watching the show, and he has been commenting on the YouTube thing. So I just said, hey, Mansab, you probably should come on the show one of these days. He said definitely he wants to come on the show. So nice. I told him, Satya, that you will contact him. So I'm just telling it live. So please contact him at an opportune time to see when he can come on the show, and we'll have him join us for the time, and we'll ask him some questions about Brownstown and about his fabulous season in 2019, right? I think that was the season where he took away almost every award which was available. I remember Arjun Ajbani came after the show and said it was the Mansab Butt night. It's not even DCL night. It was the Mansab Butt night. He dominated everything. He was just phenomenal. So just wanted to throw that out. But coming back to this game, I wanted to say that it was a good win for Strikers, but I felt pretty disappointed that Strikers dropped that bonus point, and you let Ishwar Toleti off the hook, and it was the slip between the cup and the clip. But congrats to Ishwar Toleti for making sure his team at least got the bonus point, So, but I think our friends at Spartans and Blues are probably on their way out, is what I feel. Despite the bonus point, they probably needed this win and this was a critical game for them. So hopefully they'll come back strong. But they have some good pieces there. They played some good cricket, but let's see what happens.
The last game.
Okay, I think the last game was pretty much, I mean, it was straightforward. I mean, good to see the AR Phantoms responding. I think, and losing in a respectable manner. I don't think they will be terribly disappointed with this loss, especially scoring 109 runs. Punjab Warriors, I think, have shown glimpses of what it could be. Again, you see Amanjot Singh, Gurdeep Singh, you see Gagandeep Singh, all amongst the runs, all big hitters. And they've been able to pile on runs when they've been able to kind of stitch these partnerships. But in between these big games, they have always, the batting and has faltered. They haven't been able to play against the big teams, haven't been able to consistently perform against the big teams. But amongst the lower ranked teams, I think they've been able to get through and been the better of the lot. But AR Phantoms, I would say, credit to them. They have, they have been getting better incrementally. I mean, it is still a slow process, but I see them, incrementally, getting there. So hopefully next year again, we'll see better performances from AR Phantoms.
Yeah, last game, Parthiv, I wanted to get through this quickly. Both teams, even though they are not going anywhere, I thought this was a good game for both teams. They had good batting from both sides. Punjab Warriors, 27 extras, out of which they have bowled 23 wides. I think if Punjab Warriors want to go anywhere, they probably need to fix that. 23 wides is a ridiculous amount of wides. In contrast, we have been making fun of the Phantom, but what I found is the Phantom is pretty accurate because the Phantoms gave only 6 wides, you see, so you've got to appreciate that. So I think the Phantoms, even though they are lost all the games and they are going to take the Emperor of the Basement tag, I think there are a few things to appreciate them for. The fact that they managed to give very little wides. So they are, in other words, they're saying that we are not going to beat ourselves. We're still going to come out and play. And that's a good thing because I think at least we want to take the positives out. I mean, and there have been teams like Safaris which never won any game, but come this season and you could see that they could be the party spoiler and they have really improved. So maybe there is some things which the Phantoms can improve upon. So, but definitely Punjab Warriors have a lot of talent, at least on the batting end. On the bowling end, I thought they have a couple of good bowlers. Definitely that Ranveer Singh is a really good bowler. But the 23 wides is the only thing which bothers me. But good batting display by both teams. But I'm pretty sure both teams are going to miss the playoffs.
Yep. All right.
I just took the top 3. So top 3 batting. So there's no much about bowling, but not many people took 5 wickets. So this is our stance right now. So Parthiv leading with 77. Avinash 71, Viju 71, and me at the end 70. Not so far, but 1.
I think you got a good last week or the week before. I think you got a really decent score last.
Yeah, he went for a few upsets and he managed to get all the upsets right.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So to finish it quick, I'm going to share
the Excel. Yeah.
Quicker. So Indus versus Raptors. Avi Indus, Parthiv goes for Raptors, and Satya and Viju for Indus. And FCC versus Dark Horses, it's all out for FCC. So yeah, any comments, just jump in, guys. So Thunderbolts with Troyox. I know I changed it last minute, but yeah, because I need to get that 1 point more. So
yeah, you got to bet.
Thunderbolts because at least they are topping the bowling table. So I hope they might get it. And Safari says Patriots on a roll. So it's all out for Patriots. Kings 11 versus Legends. So it's going to be Legends. They're topping the pool. KRCC Brownstorm. Already Brownstorm lost half of the season. So hopefully, I don't know whether the big guns will come, but it might be Krcc week. Blasters versus Spartan, it's Blasters all the way. FCC Agni versus Strikers, it's going to be Strikers because FCC Agni not promising anything on the field. GLCC versus MI Rangers. Last two games GLCC were down, but I think GLCC will bounce back. It's the same for MI Rangers. Last 2 weeks they were close, but it can be here or there, but hopefully it's going to be GLCC at the end. So Gladiators with AR Phantoms, Glads all the way.
My God.
No, Parthiv, let me tell you, there might be an upset in Glads versus AR Phantoms because Glads have 5 or 6 players available. Actually, it's funny because we were doing who is available. We sent out an availability sheet, and then Anup, I thought, texted the most funny comment of the day. Let us see who is going to reach 11 first, not available or available. And that it is that bad. I'm just hoping that we have at least 7 people so that we can at least field 7. But right now it's not looking very promising. I mean, this is a game where I wish I was there because at least it is one body who will be there. So it's going to be a tough ask this week.
Punjab Warriors is Rising Stars. It's Punjab Warriors except me. I'm hoping Rising Stars have a decent bowling where Punjab Warriors may not take on. But MCC Miles is Micah. Though Micah got an upset last week, they played well. But I think MCC Miles, they are holding their 5th spot, so they have to win this game. No matter what, they have to win this game, Miles. So Ram can do anything to win this game. So Hitman is a striker. It's a rained out game. It's all the way to strikers, but Hitman is again at the 5th, fighting for the part. So
I'm surprised that everybody picks strikers. To be honest, like I know I pick strikers for a reason, but I'm surprised that everybody's picked strikers. So
I think
it's going to be a good game. I think it been by virtue of their performance so far. Looks to be a good team.
Yeah, it can be anybody's day.
Yeah.
Well, Hitman will probably need a performance from Philip Thomas like the one he put against Brownstown, where he picks 4 wickets for 1 run or something like that. Then yes, then there could be an upset, but I still think the talent on the strikers is
I think he came all the way to GLCC Glads game. He stood all the way till the end and he saw the game. So
which one? Philip Thomas?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did say that he was going to come and watch the. I didn't expect him to come, but I thought he probably will watch it on video. If he came and watched it live, then he really likes to watch good games. So he got a cracker of a game.
He watched the game, so yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the prediction. We'll see how it's going to turn out next week. So last words, you, Parthiv.
Yeah, I think this. I mean, from the prediction also, it's looking like the season is getting to that stage where you can predict a lot easily now, looking at the performances of the teams. But I'm pretty sure once we get closer to the playoff, that is going to be really interesting. The fight for those 4th, 5th, 6th spots. I think that's going to be interesting.
Might be after next week, we might have top 4 and the last part will be fighting between 2.
Yeah, everybody. And especially I think the way with the format of the top 16 going through, and there's one team from the 3 pools, the lucky, called it lucky loser or whatever. But one team kind of goes through. So that is also going to be interesting. Which team comes from which pool? Like who's the
top 15 right now? MCC Miles with 15 points, they are making into playoff, but I think Thunderbolts or somebody with 17 points not making into the playoff right now.
Yeah, but you remember there is 1 spot up for grabs from any of the 3 pools, depending on whoever has the most number of points, because you're going to get 15 points, 15 teams, but the 16th team can come from pool A or B or C, depending on whoever has the most number of points and net run rate and those kind of things. So I still think that you need to fight for every point which you can get, because I think pool A is probably everything is very close. I think whereas in pool C, yes, we called it initially the pool of death, but I think that the top 4 teams in Pool C have clearly separated themselves from everybody else. So there is only a fight for the 5th spot in Pool C, if you ask me.
I was reading the YouTube comments. It's interesting to hear Mansab, but he's calling Sterling Strikers as the semifinalists. Wow.
Yeah.
Bold.
Yeah. And Satya, I think we should get Mansab one of these days. He'll be a cracker of a guest.
For the Sterling Striker versus Glass game.
What is that?
We'll bring him for Sterling Strikers versus Glass games. It's like
okay, all right.
Oh yeah, that would be interesting.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. We can get him for the Sterling Strikers versus Glad's game. Probably you should contact him and book him ahead of time so that he makes himself free and available at that time.
Yeah.
What's that again?
September 1st week, like September 4th.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. But thanks to all the viewers for sitting and watching. Again, no offense meant to anybody. We just express our opinions freely, but we try to make the show interesting. We try to express whatever is in our heart. No offense to anybody else. So we thank you for your patience with us. And I think we are getting better with the time. At least it's 2 hours 36, even though we had to cover so many games. So I think in that sense, we are making slight improvements.
It's going to be better because number of games going to reduce after this. So
right.
Yeah, but then we are going to bring back probably what is that showcase or what is that team spotlight or something, and that probably takes up some time too. It's good to have the team spotlight, but
I think for the playoffs we should think about something to add to the spice. I think we should brainstorm about what we want to go add to the playoffs when playoffs begin.
Yeah,
think about it.
Viewers can comment on YouTube, so we'll try to get match.
Yeah.
Now we probably should be advertising the number where people can dial in. So that'll be another way in which people can dial in and ask some questions during the question hour or something like that. But think about how we are going to put this thing. Even I don't know what's the number to dial in for, but just saying that.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. See you.
All right. Sounds good.
Take
care.
See you.
Thanks,
See you guys.
Parthiv.
Good night.
Bye,
Good night.
Satya.